link to your friends, your professional office colleagues as well if they wish to watch. The first session, it's on India Rocks. What will shape the next decade of Alco Bev? Discussion points for this session are emerging consumer segments, digital transformation of sales and experience, storytelling, very important, India's potential as a global spirits hub, and also examples of global brand building done exactly right. And to share their views on the same, please join me in welcoming our panelists. First, Mr. Sanjeev Banga, President, International Business Radico Khaitan Limited, an international alcobev industry veteran. Sir has been leading the global business of Radico Khaitan since 2008. Under his leadership, the company has successfully launched and established globally acclaimed brands such as Rampur Indian Single Malt Whiskey and Jaisalmer Indian Craft Gin, along with many others. Joining sir is Mr. Amulya Pandit, Senior Consultant, Euromonitor International. He brings over a decade of experience in market research and consulting with deep expertise in the FMCG sector. Actively involved in both quantitative and qualitative research initiatives and has authored numerous comprehensive national market reports. Joining them is Ms. Aisha Guptu, Country Head, India, Fino Tequila. 2-decade-long career this veteran has had, which is of course a tale of ambition, insights with the drive to innovation that she brings with her. She stands at the forefront of marketing innovations, pushing the boundaries of the regulated space to connect with audiences in a groundbreaking manner. Joining them is Mr. Himang Chandat, Chief Commercial Officer, Monica Alcobev Limited. A force behind Monica Alcobev, he has been instrumental in driving innovation, brand visibility, which has of course led to the growth of the company as well. People's person with a sharp business acumen, he is also joining us today. And also joining them is Ms. Neema Chandra, Head of Digital Marketing, Allied Blenders and Distillers Limited, with over 15 years of experience across digital marketing, consulting and brand transformation. Ms. Chandra currently leads digital marketing for Allied Blenders and Distillers. She believes that marketing is both an art and a science as well, the combo of which we will listen to today. And this session will be moderated by Ms. Achal Kaushal, who started a career in the telecommunications industry, but found the buzz and thrill in the alcoholic beverages sector. Now, Vice President of Customer Marketing at Diageo India, she has been actively involved in new launches, innovation strategies, and opportunity to interact with consumers. Please join me in welcoming a panelist and our moderator for this session. Please. You know, I'm of the firm belief कि जितना experience stage पे आ रहा है in terms of wisdom, that deserves much more love and appreciation from. Let's try again, no? And welcome them. Thank you.
Mic's working? Okay, thank you to you, first of all, introducing us. Thanks to the panel and those few patient colleagues who are sitting over here. First of all, to Shalini and Vishen sir, it's always such a pleasure coming here. More than anything else, bumping into some old colleagues and, you know, the hello highs. Yeah, hi, Anant. But I must tell you something before I kick off this, that some of the people at the back were telling me, you're a moderator, you need to not, you guys can't hear me. Good, it's okay. They need to hear me. Okay, that's a problem of the console. Yeah, but you're nodding, yeah, that means you can hear. Okay. Anyways, yeah, so I've been told I need to moderate and I need to let the people talk, and all the talking I can't do. Very exciting topic, what will shape the next decade of Alcobev? I'm not just saying it like that, but I think when I read about this topic, I was saying, of course, India rocks. Having said that, it's also the country which has lowest consumption per capita in the world. Okay, so wherever we are, you know, it can only go higher. There are a lot of green shoots because in the next 5 years, we'll have 100 million people in the LDA. I think it's going to become like the third largest Alcobev consuming country by value. So there's a lot there. And I think to kick this off, Amulya, if you want to do a little context, you know, from numbers, etc.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I assure you I'm not trying to hijack the format. As I come from a market research background, it's only fair that I share some numbers. Hope I can set some context with that. The agenda for today's presentation is quite straightforward. I'll talk about the macroeconomic and demographic factors. As you know, combined with regulation, they are the most important drivers. Second, I'll talk about the industry snapshot, which consumer segments and categories are doing well. And lastly, we'll look at the potential of the Indian market. Is this slide visible to everyone? It's fine. So let me simplify the chart for you. If you look at the chart on the left-hand side, you have years on the x-axis and the real GDP growth. One thing to note is, in 2020, we witnessed the highest decline, we being a developing country. However, if you look at the other years, we are faring really better and outpacing regions like the world and APAC. So if I talk about 2024, our India's GDP touched 3.9 trillion. It surpassed the GDP of Japan in this year, and it is expected to become the third largest GDP by 2029. So our GDP CAGR over 2024 and 29 is 6.6%. During the same period, the real GDP growth will also outpace inflation, which obviously bodes well for consumption. Moving on to the demographic composition, as you can see from the pie charts, the more demanding or the significant consumer cohorts are obviously Gen Z and millennials. It is going to continue over the forecast period as well. So as you know that our median age is just 29.6 years. That means a significant number of people will enter the legal drinking age over the next 5 years, which bodes well for consumption. The gender split is fairly even. However, one thing to note is urbanization. We continue to witness large migration where people from rural areas continue to migrate towards cities, and by 2028, 2 out of 5 people will reside in urban areas. And there you have the list of bigger cities which will contribute to most of the consumption. Please ignore Ahmedabad and Surat when it comes to legal consumption. Another chart, let me simplify this for you. So here we have divided our population by income bands. If you look at the x-axis, there are 5 bands and they have the respective ranges. So group 5 is less than USD 2,500, whereas group 1 is in excess of 30,000. One thing to note here is India is a developing market, so obviously group 5 is set to decline over the next 5 years. Another major development is that group 4 and group 3 will become 1/3 of the population by 2028. And this is the demographic that you'll target for a lot of premiumization efforts. Then you have group 2 and 1, which is the population group in excess of USD 10,000. And that would translate to 100 million individuals, which is more than the population of developed countries like South Korea, Germany, and UK. Again, this is a bit of a controversial number, so take it with a pinch of salt. According to our National Family Health Survey, the total number of drinkers in India is close to 112 million people. For males, the prevalence is around 20%. For females, it's just 1%. Over the years, we have made strong developments where women have entered the workforce, but at present, only 2 out of 5 women are in workforce. With this number changes, the number of female drinkers will slightly increase over the forecast period. So this is the snapshot of the current market. If you look at alcoholic drinks consumption globally, the market grew at just 0.6%. The primary reasons were cost of living pressures, then geopolitical volatility, and obviously aging population in a lot of developed markets, and therefore a resultant in lifestyle. On the right-hand side, you have various category growths in India. Beer growth had slowed down due to root of market issues. Again, the market has normalized now after strong growth in 21 and 22, and brown spirits growth has also slowed down. There are two categories that I have not mentioned in this list because they are not very significant, but I would like to talk about it. One being gin. The 2.5 million case category, the momentum of that category has slowed down drastically. So in 2024, it grew by just 4.5%, whereas tequila, which is close to 200,000 case category, is the fastest growing category among spirits. So again, quickly touch across this. As most of you know, that beer in India is not taxed as ABV, but by overall volume. And therefore, beer is a lot more unaffordable in India compared to other markets. So if I talk about the global consumption, 75% of the overall consumption comes from beer, whereas in India, it's less than 50. And that also reflects in the per capita consumption, where world per capita consumption of beer is 25 liters, whereas in India, it's just 2. All the numbers that I have presented are legal sales. In order to understand consumers, excuse me, I don't think the slide is displayed properly. Can you please check? The questions are not visible. Sorry guys, bear with me for a second. Fine, I'll continue. So we surveyed nearly 40,000 consumers across the globe, out of which 1,000 were from India. And the questions we asked them were related to their ambition, were related to premiumization, were related to how open they were trying to new brands and services. These questions were not specific to alcoholic drinks, but FMCG products in general. I'm sorry the questions are not visible, but one common theme here is that if you look at the responses from Indian counterparts, it far outpaces the global counterparts. This highlights that our young generation is ambitious, has access to cheap internet, is a lot aware, and is open to trying new products and services. Another question or another point of discussion very common throughout the alcoholic drinks industry is Gen Z reducing the alcohol consumption. Globally, this trend is pretty significant, and we asked our consumers the same. So the sample size for this question was more than 1,000 consumers across 3 years. As you can clearly see that during COVID, the health and wellness trend was at its peak. But in the last 3 or 4 years, people have started drinking more alcohol across all consumer cohorts. But if we deep dive into data, then we see that the trends are different for each consumer cohort. So in case of Gen Z, they are looking to reduce their alcohol consumption. In case of millennials and Gen X, they started obviously from a higher age group, but they are not that conscious as they were during the peak of COVID. Another category that has grown really well, and obviously all of you are aware of it, is single malts, right? A lot of credit for the category goes to Amrit. They built a lot of equity in the last decade in Western markets, and these products have gained mainstream acceptance in India as well as in other parts of the world. The thing here to note is that Indian single malts are now outpacing the single malt consumption compared to other single malts. So the likes of Amrut, the likes of Indri are the top selling single malt brands in India, and Glenlivet and Glenfiddich follow them. Then we also have the likes of Godawan and Longitude, which have been started producing in India, and they obviously add to the growth of Indian single malts. One more category that I wanted to touch about is RTD. In the last few years, again, because of a low base, the category has grown at a very rapid rate. It is now primarily driven by Breezer and some of the famous cocktail RTDs. We have seen a lot of launches in wine-based RTDs as well. But one subcategory that I wanted to touch upon is hard seltzer. We had seen the growth of hard seltzer in the US market, buoyed by buoyed by growth of some specific branch in the US. But that has not been replicated in the Indian market. So if you look at the Indian market in 2020 and 22, till 22, there were a lot of launches, but most of these brands failed to achieve scale, and a lot of them have discontinued their products. The only brand that has stood the test of time was Pursue. The reason I'm discussing this category is, on the surface level, all the factors aided the growth of this brand. We are a tropical climate, and consumers were looking for a category which is low ABV and low calorie value. But because brands were not able to cater it to the taste of the local consumers, this subcategory did not find a lot of takers. Now, talking about the potential and how India acts as a hub, this graph represents the absolute consumption of alcoholic drinks over the period 24 to 29. As you can see, most of the countries in this graph are actually developing countries, which highlights the trend that a lot of developed markets, due to inflationary pressures, aging population, and related change in lifestyles, these markets have reached saturation, and the overall consumption will be driven by these developing markets, which obviously bodes well for India. And last but not the least, India has also opened its whiskey exports to new avenues. As you can see these numbers, the growth in the last 2 years is outstanding. Also, 50% of these exports come from blended whiskies, but that is changing. India has started importing single malts, and previously our top importers used to be Middle East as well as African markets. But now the likes of Netherlands and Europe and also US is importing large quantities of Indian brands. So which bodes well for the Indian market and has opened new avenues for the domestic manufacturers. That's it from my side. Thank you.
Okay, thanks for that. Are you all able to hear me, or it's still a... Okay. Okay, great. Thanks for that. What I gather from those three things, which I think I'd like to pivot towards today's discussion, one is obviously the consumer, the younger Gen Z, however we want to call them. The second, of course, is provenance, India into Indian single malts. And third is tier 2 cities, hence experiences, etc. So, of course, this is going to be a discussion, and please pitch in. So, the first one, and obviously Sanjeev, we'll look at you for that, which is this whole thing about Indian single malts, the kind of landscape it's given. It's become like a playground for even consumers abroad in terms of how from the Deccan barrel to, to wherever, it is. It's almost redefined this space. We've kind of left the whole, big boys of Scotch behind, and here's where it is. There's a lot over there, and would love to hear from you. What is it that the consumer is looking at? We're getting awards, etc. And how's it really been for Rampur also, and a bit of this segment construct as well?
Thank you very much, Achal, and thank you very much for the presentation. You did mention about the growth of Indian alcoholic beverages in the international market, so I'm going to focus more on the international markets. First of all, we are a very proud Indian company, and our motto is to take India to the world. And we strongly believe any adverse situation provides an opportunity to further grow your business. To take an example, a recent example, the tariffs imposed by US on Indian goods had a major impact on a couple of things that we export: textiles, gem and jewelry. And that just got me thinking, an average Indian, or a middle class and above Indian, where is he shopping for clothes? He or she shopping for clothes? H&M, Zara, Marks and Spencer, Uniqlo. Where's an Indian brand? Gem and jewelry. Again, no branded. Tanishq has done a bit, but that too limited to, say, the Middle East, couple of stores in US or Singapore and all. And we've been supplying to the Macy's of the world, to the Selfridges of the world and all that, but they're brand names. Thankfully, in the Alcobev industry, our industry, we've broken that barrier, and today our brands are very well recognized globally, especially in the luxury space. You're absolutely right when you said earlier was only the Middle East and all that. But today, I can say for ourselves, our brands are available in over 100 countries, 107 countries. For our luxury portfolio, US is the biggest market, despite the tariffs and all that. The other channel, which is equally important, is the travel retail. Because today, it's the Indians who are traveling, Indians who are spending money. It used to be earlier the Chinese and all that. So it's a great opportunity for building brands over there. Also look at that today about 35 million in people of Indian origin or Indian diaspora overseas. And let me tell you, they are far more proud Indians than a lot of us sitting here are available. They celebrate the festivities in far more passion. They are so passionate about Indian brands, not only showcasing for their own consumption, but even for gifting. The other thing is, Indian cuisine is amongst the top 10 most popular cuisines in the world. And you have a number of fine dining Indian restaurants, Michelin star. What were they serving so far? Kingfisher. Some had Old Monk. But today, that's changed. They are all stocking Indian single malts, Indian gins, Indian rums and all that because it goes fantastically well with Indian food as well. Go to any Italian restaurant, do they serve any other wines? No, they serve Italian wines. A French would do the same thing. Go to a Japanese or Chinese, they all promote their own brands. But unfortunately for the Indian fine dining restaurants, there never were any luxury offerings from India. Thankfully, that's changed. And you see that reflection when you mentioned as well, and IWSR has also confirmed that Indian single malts outsold the Scotch single malts in India. So it is what we've done in the beverage alcohol space to take India to the world, but we still have a very long way to go onto that. My recommendation to all our industry partners would be, it's a slow, expensive, tiresome process. Brand building does not come overnight. So we need to first focus on the quality that we're producing, packaging that we're doing, pricing. Let's not undersell India. Let's charge the premium what Scotch industry has been all these years. And there are enough people who appreciate, because there's a mysticism. There's so much India has to offer in terms of provenance, terroir. Let's encash that. Let's build a story around it, and let's make great universal global brands. Thank you.
That was lovely. It's making me feel very proud, you know, even if it's Rampur. Hemant, I'm going to shift the gears to you because we heard about what India and India's products is doing out of the country, very hair-raising. I want to speak to you about the global opportunity in India and hence the way we build our brands, how our consumer palate's changing, and how is it that I can leverage, or when I say I mean the industry can leverage all of that towards building global brands into India. It's not like we haven't done that before, but I'm talking about the day and age of today.
I think I'm going to start off by saying Amulya's made my job easy and tough. I think the presentation he made was fabulous. It was so precise that whatever I had to speak about was already there. So I'm going to take a lot of references of that. But every time I meet a supplier or a new brand that is trying to come to India, you know, when we meet a European company, they always say, oh, more than 100 billion people, everybody buys a bottle. 1.4 billion people, everybody buys a bottle and we are a billionaire, you know. It's not as easy. But while we say that, and going back to Amulya's presentation of more than 40% people being below the legal drinking age in India, when this cohort steps out and they enter the market, they're going to revolutionarily change the way liquor is consumed in India. Let it be cocktails, let it be white spirits, and simultaneously, the rise in Indian household incomes is only going to get these consumers to move up the price ladder. When all of this is happening, which is completely opposite to the West right now, the population is not as young as how Indians are. This is going to put a great platform to the premium alcoholic beverages and a sustainable growth that they could look at happening in India, which is not true for a lot of countries right now, which is far ahead of us when it comes to sales and value. For an example, China. Every time I look at China, and I closely compare India to China because of the size of the population, I think China's, if I'm not wrong, China's total spirit sales is close to 3 times of that of India by value. But every time I try to see what's selling there, mostly the premium sales is coming from their national spirit Baiju. That is not the case for India. Sorry, Banga sir, but for Indian premium spirits is usually imported. In India we always say, oh, imported hai, acha hai. The kind of perception that imported carries in India is very different to that of China. We are not so patriotic right now, which I would really love if people look at Rampur the way they look at all the imported scotch. I think as an Indian I would love that, but that's not the case currently. So that gives a very good platform for us, for all the imported brands to be available in India and keep growing, which they wouldn't have a platform like that anywhere else in the world.
Nice.
Just to counter that, it's actually changing. It's actually changing because primarily driven by the fact that the quality of Indian alcoholic beverages has improved tremendously. So, yes, a couple of years ago, maybe about 10 years ago or something, or even 7 years ago, imported brands were still the most sought after. But today in the premium space, in the Indian whiskey categories as well, they are priced, a lot of the brands are priced higher than the bottle in India scotches, and they're doing fantastic volumes.
No, they did. I agree with you, Banga sir. I think they're doing really well. One thing I always keep telling my team, if I'm launching a new malt or especially a gin, this example's prime for gins. I think every time you see a bar menu in the gins now, there are usually big companies because you got to spend a lot. It's an expensive category. But apart from that, there are always 1 or 2 Indian gins. That really makes me very proud that there is a consumer base that is asking for Indian premium gins. But while we say all that, I think I'm happy because of the new cohort that is entering the market will leave a space for all of us who are looking for imported beverages, while those who agree that imported beverages are better, and while people who are also looking for local grown premium brands. So the playground is so big that more and more Indian brands evolving and international coming to India is only going to, cater to different customers at different times. So
Yeah,
I think there's place for all.
If I were to round that up, what both of you are saying is right. I think it's the whole repertoire piece, which is ensuring everybody engulfs into that space. But where Sanjeev was coming from is also that whole respect for, Indianization, Indian products and all is elevated now. Are we really there? Not, which is something which you also said that there is a huge journey to go. But I think whether it's because of external validation, awards and everything, you don't shun away from an Indian product. It's no longer a cheap product. It is a premium product. And you're right, there is a space for everybody right now, which is also an exciting space to be in. And within that, I want to, also talk about white spirits. India was really known, and still is, it's a very dominated brown spirits market. However, with tequila, you spoke about the kind of growth rates which are there. Of course, there was a time when gin was really out there. So I want to talk to you about it in terms of how you are feeling the whole white spirits world kind of getting in.
Yeah, one thing I want to say, whether it is an imported product or an Indian product today, I think the consumer has really evolved beyond a point, and consumer segment is no more defined by age anymore. It is today basically a mindset. a mindset where consumers are willing to experiment, and just like you said, the repertoire has become so huge. We are okay to try more than one. We are okay to experiment with a lot of things, be an Indian brand or anything that is imported. And I think that's where tequila's role now, and as Amulya has essentially pointed out, is where it's coming up and where people are open to experiment. The thing is, tequila is still, it has been patented by Mexico, so we still have to make it there. But storytelling is where it essentially becomes very important, therefore, and how you bring it out to the consumers of India is where the role of a true brand is. And today, I don't think consumers want a bottle or a liquid or a product. They want an experience in itself. So how you essentially convert that entire bottle into an experience is what the job of us as companies are, be it tequila or any other segment. And I think there are three things which I personally believe are very important where storytelling for a brand is concerned. First, to start with, is essentially authenticity. I mean, any brand which says the true story in terms of very, very authentic story. And consumers today are so aware, and digital being their first touch point, accessibility being so high, they know exactly what product, and in a second they will Google it and they know what you're offering. So authenticity, I think, becomes very important. How you build your brand, how you tell a story about where your product comes from, how you bring global and Indian together, and mix of cultures. That's where I think it becomes very important for brands to essentially build and sell. So from a tequila perspective, therefore, which highland you're built from, where in Jalisco you come from, what are the other brands that are breathing the same air or the soil, just becomes that much more important. Secondly, I think, is luxury, and I think that is something that we've all spoken about. We've seen premiumization as a trend. We've seen the data which says that, that category is spending more, increasing more. Luxury today no more is just affordability. It's essentially an emotional story that you build. It's what you bring to the table more than just the price point of your product. And that plays a large role in defining what kind of a product or a quality that you essentially bring. And the third thing, I think, is provenance. Provenance today, I think, is a stamp of quality, essentially. And I think this goes for whiskeys as well as tequila. Provenance has always played a very big role in whiskey ever since time immemorial, I think. Today, it's an important part where tequila building is also concerned. And provenance tells a lot of story about what you are and the quality that you essentially sell. And while we also saw a little bit of the data which said that Gen Z is possibly, drinking less, I think what they are drinking, they are very careful about what they are drinking. They are very sure of, even if I drink that, I have to be very particular about what I'm choosing based on quality, storytelling, who stands by, and who is basically bringing their product to the table. So I think those are the three things which I can round up by saying that essentially, be it tequila or any other space, any other brand or category, that storytelling and the brand offering in the form of experience becomes more important than just a bottle.
Great. Please go ahead.
To second that on tequila, one very interesting insight I have, because I am also a target audience to the premium tequila space in India. What I see is, let's say my friends, when they were hosting parties 5 years back, 6 years back, the party would be looked at with what single malt is being served, So I've been to retail shops and I see orders were like, okay, give me 6 bottles of Glenlivet 12. And then that is when you know, okay, it's going to be a party where people are going to drink single malts. But for the last few years that I see, all the party orders that I see go to retail, let it be for a Diwali party or a housewarming, I think it starts from a tequila. So, which is a great news, I think customers have, of course, they are very careful of what single malt they want to serve that night. But while they're doing that, they're also looking at what tequila am I serving, So that is actually a rebirth of a category that otherwise was like, whatever tequila you have, just give me 3 bottles of that too, So now people are careful. They want to keep a reposado or an anejo, or they just want to keep silver because they're making cocktails. So I think that's a very interesting phenomena that I've seen in the recent past.
I want to ask you on what you just said. They want to start with the tequila and they end with that also. Let's talk on trade, for instance. Very muffled, huh? No, I'm saying you said now when I go to parties, people start with the tequila. So if I leave the home space and I talk about on-trade, do they start with the tequila and end with it?
When I said they start, I was talking about making their shopping list, you know.
No, that is okay. It's like I've taken something and I'm moving into
Okay.
another space.
Like when it comes to on-trade, if I talk about tequila's rise in on-trade, you know, because we work with a brand called Jose Cuervo, which is the world's #1 tequila. What I see the change right now is people are going from vodka gin cocktails to tequila cocktails. So every time I try to see the menu, let it be listing of cocktails on the menu. Usually the gin share is still very strong than what it used to be because Indian gins are still going strong. So there are a lot of cocktails around there. But if you see, a lot of cocktails are from tequila. So in fact, the top 10 or the top 20 cocktail bars you see of India, the top selling category in a cocktail may be tequila, you know, which was not the scenario earlier. The scenario earlier was people will have whiskey sours and they'll have gin. Maybe between 2020 and 2022, they would have a gin cocktail, and tequila was a shot, you know. You would take a shot of tequila while you were drinking other things. But right now, tequila has become the primary drink in itself, with cocktail consumption going up far more than other categories.
Got it. So one more thing which I mean, when I look at everything that we all are talking about, of course, brands, categories are important, but I think where consumer picks a choice first is occasions. What am I here to drink for? Am I just casually hanging out? You know, is it an occasion where I really want to impress and all of that, and hence storytelling. So Aisha, to you, you know, I wanted to ask you that hence digital storytelling experiences, you know, where do you think that plays a role? Because that's going to put all of us into the same space.
So I think the bottle is offline, but the consumer is online. I think that's the starting point of it all. Whether it's decision, it's discovery, it's, brag rights, it's all online. So that's a very important space. There's a lot of data that we are getting now. A lot of people are basically, the quick commerce piece is helping with giving us inputs on flavor profiles. While we don't have alcobev per se online and we're not doing it on commerce, mixers are helping a great deal. Party kits are helping a great deal in giving us data and very rich insights in terms of what's the new occasion. Is there a Friday night mixer or a cocktail night happening, or whether it's a no-low that's picking up, are there brunch scenarios happening? So this helps and feeds into like a lot of innovation calendars, I think, from the brand's perspective. It feeds into a lot of brand storytelling. It feeds into how we analyze this and then plan portfolios in the future. So I think digital is the zero moment of truth basically for alcobev, even though the industry has not completely shifted gears yet. I think even in terms of policies, things are warming up. There's, of course, controlled frameworks of D2C deliveries available, and that's helping analyze consumer needs. It's helping analyze what can we do better. In terms of, adjacent categories like FMCG and if you look at paints even, they've basically put together a very fragmented retail ecosystem and created a lot of transparency and visibility. So while that helps us as the industry, it also helps the consumer because there's a lot more discovery, there's a lot more availability, there are less stockouts. So it's helping in that front also. And these are lessons that we can take into the future on the digital front in terms of transformation.
Great, thanks. So we've spoken a lot about products, provenance and everything. I want to get into the consumer. We're talking about the newer consumer, and Amulya, you spoke about, moderation, whether or not it's as stark as world over, drinking better, drinking well and everything. So, let's talk about this newer consumer that we're talking about, like what's so different from what it was some years ago?
I'll go first. And it actually correlates to what she was also talking about, I can't agree more to the consumer being online. That is the new customer, the new consumer who's online, because what I see, because I'm also in the office making strategies while I'm also on the floor seeing if it's really working. Every time we have a campaign around on social media with the kind of restrictions that we already have, I'm a part of a few WhatsApp groups where bartenders are there of all India, or I'm also part of retail groups where I have on WhatsApp, and I see Instagram pages, screenshots going out, is this available in the market? That means the consumer actually took all the effort from Instagram to take a screenshot, send it to his retailer saying, is this new flavor of gin available, or is this new liquor that is on the market available? I think that's great news. The consumer is really going out of his way and trying to see if the brand is available or not. While said that, also, and another thing there was also in on-trade accounts when we do our activations, the consumers really want to tag the brand, the company, if there are free promotions going around, or if there are, let's say, samplings happening about liquor or tequila, they really want to know more. If you walk around tables and see, a lot of people are on their social media actually validating of what the promoter is saying. Is it true, and does it what the brand speaks on digital as well? So more than the trade, I think the trade is still trying to catch up in terms of digital and social media, but when it comes to the consumers really, really quick. He's going to social media, seeing if it's really true and what the brand communication is, and if he associates well, he really wants to go and try out the brand. I think that's great news for us.
Very nice.
If I can just add, I think today's consumers are not only more knowledgeable, more experimentative, and I think initially it used to be, there is an entire path the consumer takes where drinking or getting to the alcohol segment is concerned. So we start with RTD, move on to rums, and then whiskeys, and then move on to think my father was drinking my, whatever is, what whiskey is there in the shelf in the house. But today I think that line has, or that life cycle has completely blurred. Today people are open to trying anything right at the beginning, as long as it is something that they have done their research and they believe is, is a good offering, is quality. And again, I'll reiterate, since I want to drink right, I want to drink less, I want to drink quality, and I want to drink the right thing that I believe is available in the market right now. So I think that's where the new gen drinkers are becoming very conscious, and it's more occasion out than just a life cycle out now where alcohol is concerned.
I was speaking to you, Sanjeev, that I was in Toronto recently. So there was this, it was world class, where bartenders and companies and all were there. There was a very interesting conversation where there were two owners of bar, and they were talking about moderation. And they said that moderation is not that someone is not drinking. It's like zebra striping. I'll drink one, I'll not. I'll drink and I won't. And there are various reasons. We spoke about health, conscious living, but one of them was also social media, because they're saying we are so seen now. I want to be in control because I don't want to be viral for all the wrong reasons. So we think moderation may only be about conscious living, but it's also the impact of where we are going to. And on that note, I wanted to ask you, do you see, because you're handling international business, is there a difference between the consumer world over and here?
No, I think the consumers all around the world, post-COVID, what's happened is we all are in agreement on that. They're drinking less, but they're drinking better. COVID taught them to do their own cocktails. So they have become more experimental and looking for experiences. And that's where social media also plays a lot of part. Influencers or someone posting, I've done this cocktail or whatever and all that. People want to try that. They want to experience it. Tequila. Okay, I'm amongst them. I'm possibly the oldest over here. During my younger days, tequila, wherever you went, was only shots.
My time also.
And the first time I went to Mexico, we were having a meeting. During lunchtime, the guy said, okay, let's have tequila. I said, is he mad? Who's going to have a tequila shot in the middle of a meeting? But then they were all tall drinks that were coming. So they said, that's the gringo way. The US, Hollywood taught them to drink straight from the bottle. But tequila's always been a tall drink. And that's what's coming in India as well now. So people are not drinking to get drunk. They're trying to celebrate a moment in occasion and all that. And that's true everywhere in the world today.
Right.
And that's where I keep coming back. India has got so much to offer because people are willing to experiment. There's so many regional drinks from India. Not only Feni and Mahua and all that, there are a number of other things. Or certain Rajwadas had those recipes which are long forgotten. It's time to revive them, showcase them, share them with the world. Because people are willing to try, experience things. And prominence, authenticity and all that. So it's a great opportunity for our industry as well.
Great. What I'm going to do is, I'm going to do like a quick, thing around the table, which is, we're talking about all those things which shape our next decade. Of course, we briefly mentioned various things, but for all of you all, tell me the 3 or the 2 big ones which you think are going to shape. So we'll start with you. Which ones do you think?
I feel quality over quantity, experience, and yeah, I think those 2 essentially more than anything else. Yeah.
Obviously, quality, whatever she said is absolutely, and add on to that, the story.
The story.
Story is very important. People buy the story and has to be authentic. You have to have confidence in what you're sharing with the consumers over there. Only then they believe in that.
Nice.
A slightly longer answer, please bear with me. So I feel like access to information is still underrated, right? In the last decade, when I first started researching alcoholic drinks and tobacco, I literally had to go to single malt clubs and cigar clubs to get information. But now everything is at your fingertips. Similarly, the rise of social media puts a lot of pressure on certain consumer cohorts to express their individuality. And therefore, they are more open to trying new categories. So this remains important. And last but not the least, the product. See, craft gins did well because spices or use of botanicals filtered through our cuisine to our drinks. Even for a category like soft drinks, the most sold brand is Thumbs Up and not Coca-Cola and Pepsi, right? So products which have been catered to our taste are more scalable than something you blindly import or create.
I think it's unfair that all the good points are already gone, so I'm worried for her now. But I think one thing, if I could say different from, of course I agree with all of them, and I think education, awareness is going to help change a lot of things, because I understand we want to explore new and we want to drink less, but drink better. But I think till the time we don't get educated, or we are not more aware about what's available in the market outside, or what is the world drinking, it's going to be very difficult to get to a new stage, new phase of life. Like just one thing that I didn't know of is we've just signed a soju brand for India, and I had no idea of it because I'm not a very big Korean K-pop I'm not a very big follower, but my wife is, so she ended up mentioning that a lot of soju is being consumed at house parties by a lot of women, a lot of young audience. So I think awareness of these coming out is going to change the way people will look at alcohol now.
Great.
I definitely agree on quality over quantity, but with experiences. But the thing with experiences are, because everyone's getting more trend conscious, there's a lot of trend hopping. I think there needs to be a seamless experience at every touch point. I think that is going to be one of the factors that's going to really impact how a brand carries forward, how the alcobev industry shapes ahead. It's about latching on to smaller data insights and catching on to these data trends which are available not necessarily in alcobev. It's maybe on social media, like you mentioned, K-pop, J-pop. I think it's about all of that. It's about hydration being a rage. It's about experiential storytelling at every touch point. So there's data everywhere. I think it's all about tapping into that data beyond the product experience.
Great. That's a lot. I'll just, as a last thing, I'll add that all of those things and the fact that consumers no longer drink into brands. They're actually drinking in an occasion, and it's how beautifully we play as companies and brands. Yeah, that was mic drop. Yeah, but thank you. I think we had more fun talking amongst each other than the audience. But thanks a lot, yeah? Okay, all right.
Thank you so much. Before all of you make a move, may I please request Mr. Bishan Kumar, Editor-in-Chief, and also Mrs. Shalini Kumar, the Editor of Spiritz, to please join us on the stage and present a token of gratitude to all the panelists and also to ma'am as well, our moderator. Please. We'll also have you, please. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, Vishen sir. Surely moving ahead, our next session, it is on license to grow. How regulations shape alcobev expansion in India. This panel will discuss the points on navigating state-by-state complexities in India, need for a centralized tax system, online retail and home delivery, imports, exports possibilities, and of course, social media regulations and media bans, and also the way forward. Please join me in welcoming our panelists for this one. We are being joined by, up first, Mr. Devesh Deval, Joint Secretary, Ministry of Food Processing Industries, a distinguished IAS officer of the 2004 batch. He assumed his role in Ministry of Food Processing Industries in 2025. Responsible for the Pradhan Mantri Formalization of Micro-Food Processing Enterprise Scheme, e-Samiksha, Plan Coordination and Institutional Division, promotional activities, and many more. We are honored to have you with us, sir. Also joining him is Mr. Anant S. Iyer, Director General of CIA ABC, a career spanning more than 33 years. Sir has led sales, marketing, business strategy, corporate affairs, and also business development across various alcobev giants. He now heads the Confederation of Indian Alcoholic Beverage Companies that represent more than 20 domestic liquor manufacturers. Joining them is Mr. Ashutosh Rajput, COO of Alcobrew Distilleries India Limited. Career spanning over 20 years. He has been associated with Coca-Cola, Radico Khaitan, Olam International, Sign of Spirits, and also Campari Group. His experience across sales, marketing, management makes him pivotal to drive Alka Brew's next phase of growth. Joining them is Miss Prarthana Pal Chaudhary, Head Regulatory Affairs, Mohit NSC, India. Ma'am brings over 2 decades of experience in public affairs, sales, marketing, and business development. She has been chalking up one accolade, one after the another, in her bid to get the government, the consumer, and the manufacturer on one page. Also joining them is Mr. Rajneesh Singh, founder, Jana Advisors, an international business management law graduate with over 27 years of cross-functional and cross-sectoral experience of working in India, Singapore, and Mauritius. Through Jana Advisors, he offers legal and management consulting services to Alcobev Association businesses and institutions. And this one will be chaired by Mr. Sanjeev Vij, Vice President, Corporate Affairs, DIGO, India, much admired professional of the Alcobev industry. He brings over nearly 3.5 decades of expertise in public policy, corporate strategy, and operations. Currently leading public policy at DIGO India. His focus is on taxation and regulatory matters. We are honored to have all of you with us. Let's welcome them, please, with your applause collectively. You know, I personally believe that यहाँ पे बैठे हर एक व्यक्ति का जो experience है, हम में से आधे लोग की उम्र से ज़्यादा है. Let's try again and welcome them. Come on, more warmer one. Thank you, sir.
Can we have another mic, please? One more mic. Yeah. Okay. That's, ladies and gentlemen, I think the panel that is there, kind of scares me, with the kind of experience that we have on the stage. So first of all, my compliments to Bishanji and Shalini ji for putting up such a lovely panel of people, and a very warm welcome to Devesh ji. It's great to have you amongst us representing the government. License to operate is something which we all were very familiar with, but license to grow, I think, is something which is very, very interesting to talk about. How do you navigate, and how do you navigate such a complex regulatory mechanism and still continue to grow? How do you look at need for harmonized taxations or online retail, home deliveries, better import-export provisions? I think that's what we would want to talk about here. It's a privilege for me to moderate this session, and the Indian Alcobev market, despite of all its challenges, we all know, we are from this industry, has been growing. It grew at about 2% from 2018 to 22, and then at 5% in 22-23, and 4% CAGR over the next 4 years, probably doubling the volumes over the next one decade. So I think it's a phenomenal growth. It contributes nearly 2% of the GDP for the country. So I think it's a sector which is very, very important for the Indian economy with 2% of GDP. So I think with that in mind, I wanted to put up my first question to Devesh ji. Devesh ji, we are all, looking at, how the Ministry of Food and Processing in the Indian government, it plays a very, very crucial role for the food processing sector. So this includes Alcobev, and you are heading the Alcobev committee for MOFP. You're doing a great job there for us. The World Food India that is being organized, Alcobev gets its own place in that. How do you think that the ministry will continue to play a great role in the strategic development of the sector? So that's where I think our opening question will be to you to set the context for this conversation.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for having us here and giving this opportunity. I feel that this ministry, because it's an industry sector, it's more for us when we come and, we interact with industry. It's more to learn from you what the industry is doing. So we look at it always at that point of view that, we come, we participate, and we learn from the discussions. but to have us as a panel, it's a different experience. So thank you for having us here. Coming to your, the question, and just to set the context, we know India is a big country when it comes to agricultural prowess. We have a huge, arable landmass. We are the leading producer, either number 1 or number 2 or number 3 at the most in most of the agricultural commodities. So what we aim is now that, that agricultural prowess should translate into India being a superpower in food processing. And Alcobev is one of the important subcomponent or subsector there. There, India as a country, we should focus and we should bring this sector up. So this is, how we look at it. At a larger, very macro context, the level of processing in India is around 10 to 12%. It has to grow. We have to think in terms of value addition, in terms of greater realization for our farmers, in terms of promoting investment and employment. So at a government level, when we think of those, priorities for the government, we look at all these subsectors which contribute to food processing, and we really look at in what we can do for each of them. Alcobev sector, I think, is one which is very capable by itself. So that is a strength. We saw in the previous session, it seems all the things are going for this sector now, whether it is the demographic profile, the urbanization, the income levels, the internet boom, you name it, and it thinks everything is favoring this sector. So we are very hopeful that the sector is going to, rise in times to come. But as ministry, it is for Ministry of Food Processing to look at this sector as a subject matter. So it's a great responsibility for the ministry. In government, when decisions are taken, it's always a collective decision. And particularly, you'll agree, alcohol is an issue which is very, touchy or emotive subject, There are so many ways you can look at it. So if I'm in health ministry, I will look at it as a different manner. It's a health hazard for me. If I'm, say, Ministry of Road Transport and Highways, I look at it different manner, right? If I'm women and child development, I have a different, not a very charitable view of the sector, right? But if I'm in food processing or commerce and industries, you have a different way of looking at it. So that is the advantage of our ministry, that we look at it, the sector very objectively in terms of the contribution that it makes. And we make our best effort that we, whatever policy support the sector requires, we try to give that. And for that, we have mechanisms. There are interministerial committees. In government, when decisions are taken, we have a cabinet form of government, right? So it's a collective decision-making. People sit together, ministers or the secretaries of the departments. Different viewpoints come out, and then a decision is taken which is judicious, which is well thought out. So I think it is responsibility of our Ministry of Food Processing that when it comes to Alcobev sector, what the industry wants, what the industry is facing, what are the pressing requirements, those things we understand properly, and then we are able to project very clearly and candidly in those discussions, so that whatever decision is taken is a very balanced and judicious decision which helps the sector. So this is the role as we think for us, and ministry is, we are making efforts that whatever way we can help the sector, whatever problems are there, we can address those. And we have various structural institutional mechanism for that. We do take recourse to that on regular basis. So I'll say that much.
Great, sir. I think from an industry perspective, we really look forward to your stewardship for our sector as the parent ministry at the central government, and heading the Alcobev committee. I think we would definitely look at, support coming from you because of the way you describe, the way you look at the sector objectively. Moving over to and then probably trying to address the elephant in the room. Anant, you work for this industry more than I think any one of us on this stage. And, it's been a state subject. It has remained outside GST. It's a non-harmonized tax structure, diversity of route to markets, and various challenges, disparities of excise duties, interstate comparisons of ex-distillery prices and everything. This does create an unsustainable environment for us as a business. From your perspective, what are the macroeconomic impacts that you think this kind of a thing that creates on the industry's overall growth and investment and ability to consistently contribute towards excise revenues?
Thanks, Sanjeev. Thank you, Devesh sir. As you know, the Joint Secretary from MOFP just mentioned, if our industry has to contribute to the overall revenue of the country, today we are roughly around a 3.5 lakh crore to 4 lakh crore rupees is what the overall tax revenue is if you collect all the data from the states, which includes excise duty, VAT, and all other levies. If we wish this to grow, right, and it has to say triple, and if we truly need to be Viksit Bharat in that sense, as far as our industry is concerned, I think a key issue would be harmonization of excise policies across states. The states have control, so it's not about centralization. It's about a system being very predictable. See, predictability brings trust. Trust brings investments. Any industrialist who is willing to put 100 crores or 200 crores for a distillery or a bottling plant in any place, or even a winery for that matter, or work with farmers to grow grapes and ensure that the grapes they take about nearly 5 to 10 years to start delivering, right? Ditto for malt, anything of that sort that includes all the agricultural produce. How do we go about it unless there is a predictability? Now that doesn't happen. State excise change rules at the whims and fancies of whoever is in power. So this happens from in state to state at times. Some states are predictable. UP has been predictable over the last 6 or 7 years. And you can see that from 18,000 crores or so, about 7 years ago, they have now gone up to about 53,000 crores. So that's a huge jump, right? And that is because there's a steady, policy out there. Sure, there are tweaks up and down, but it's more or less steady. So coming back to the main question, the rules should be harmonized. The revenue aspect, what you need to keep on duty can be different from state to state. But at least the way we have, things of, say, manufactory rules, the maturation rules, for example, right? The bottling rules, the shift timings, those can be, consistent across states. There is a whole host of things which can be consistent. Ditto for the hospitality sector. The hospitality sector, I take my hats off to them because they have to manage, I think, close to about 100 odd licenses in most cities and most states. Why? If the government talks about ease of doing business and you have a Niti Aayog which keeps on drumming it in, day out, I haven't, in my 33 years, I've yet to see ease of doing business, at least in my industry. There has been zero ease of doing business, right? It's only roadblocks after roadblocks after roadblocks year on year, whatever it is. So the point is that, we have these kind of issues and these need to be sorted out. So harmonization of excise matters in terms of non-revenue matters would really help. Secondly, the kind of, interstate arbitrage that comes in because of import pass fee, export pass fee. Why? We are one country. You try to explain this to anyone outside our borders and they all just look at you saying, how can between states you have import pass fee and export pass fee? Including the central government, bureaucrats and ministers, they themselves are surprised saying, you all have this in your industry. I said, yes. And why? At the end of the day, if you add up some of these cesses, they are like 0.1%, 0.5% of the overall revenue the state is making. So why? And the other thing is, a lot of states are not trying to protect their own industry, especially in alcohol, right? State-made liquor and what have you. Now, those are all very short-sighted policies that come into being, and they just upturn the whole equation of investments that go in. So, instead of having 31 states and about,
Can I butt in? I'll just ask you to hold your thought.
Sure.
I would want to go to Pratna,
Why not?
go back to Devesh sir, and come back to you for this as to what is the way forward out
Yeah,
of
I
all
just want to
this.
just make one point. We have 31 states and about 5 union territories, right? Out of a total of, 36 states, right? So 31 plus 5, so 31 plus 4, sorry. 31 plus 4 are wet, about 4 dry states and one, UT is dry. That's Lakshadweep. But look at the fragmentation of rules. For this industry to have survived and prospered, and you can see it in the stock market of all the companies that are listed, and also the amount of brands that are on display here and on the outside, it shows the tenacity, right, and the perseverance of the people who have invested in this industry. And I'm glad that the industry is not a taboo industry anymore. It's being socially and societally accepted. We are a responsible industry. We contribute to the economy. Hence, why have this fragmentation, right? And I think we should initiate conversation with the help of MOFPI, which is our nodal ministry, along with states for harmonization of state excise policies.
Absolutely, I think, and that's where I wanted to hold your thought, because I wanted to go to Pratna. Pratna, you represent a company which is predominantly in the premium segment, and we heard so much about the premiumization and the consumer in the earlier forum. So similar question to you, the fragmented policies, and from a premium point of view, where a consumer has the capacity to pay, the consumer wants it, the economy is progressing, and the contribution is high. What are the challenges that you face as a company there?
So to be very honest, our challenges are much lesser than what is felt at the IMFL or at the beer level. We, at times, because our contribution is very minimal, though we are on the premiumization drive, our contribution is very minimal. So most of the times we get some favorable, we are always on that side. We get help from your side. So we'll say thank you to you in most of the cases. In progressive states like, say, a Bengal or a Maharashtra, most of the times wines and BIO segment is always helped. So thank you for that. But we also face a lot of complexities when it comes to imports that we do face, sir. And again, I would say, before we start saying what all negativities we face, we would say thank you to you, because you're always open for talks. You hear us out and also give us solutions. So thank you for that. But nonetheless, the problems keep growing. Like we do have to face FSSAI issues, wherein, when we are talking to our companies, we are a brand companies, when we have to tell them that the front label has to be 50% of the warnings that we have to put. Most of our premium brand labels, most of our labels do not have a front label as such. So these are certain things which are very difficult for us to manage. But yes, I would say that more difficulties on the IMFL part. I try to be a voice with them so that, the IMFL guys can, we can help them out. But yes, if there would have been more ease of doing business on the FSSAI side and also from the customs, which we face on a daily basis, that would be very helpful, sir.
Okay, great. Thank you. So, Anand, I held you back, but I know you've got a lot to say, and maybe, you highlighted this, but I think we as associations have been suggesting a lot of methodologies, a lot of proposals to the government on how to create this harmonized tax structure, how to create this harmonized one Indian market for us. So maybe how you feel that MOFPI can help our sector through that, and then probably I'll give an opportunity to Devesh sir to also then throw some light on it from his end.
Yeah, we have in the past submitted to MOFPI a very detailed a submission on harmonization of excise policies. Basically, these are all the non-excise duty aspects of it, in terms of, as I said, production, retail, the entire supply chain in that sense. Now, while this is a state subject, MOFPI being the nodal ministry can always convene, a conference of excise commissioners, excise secretaries, etc., and, have a discussion with them. The government in power at the center has a lot of states, about 10, 12 states, which have their own same party governance or they are in a coalition. So at least those states, if we can rope them in and, start small. It's a question of starting small. There is some headway being done as far as, exports are concerned in terms of, simplifying certain procedures, but that's also been, minuscule in that sense. So if we can add to that, like how they have got a committee for exports, similarly on this, if they can form like a subcommittee and, quickly do that, and then we move forward. So if they go send a recommendation, at least it sets the ball rolling. And that's what we're looking at least set the ball rolling. It might take 10 years, 15 years, but at least set the ball rolling.
So Devesh sir, I think that's where we are, and that's what probably the sector looks at. We know under your leadership, we've made a small beginning with exports, at least on the export labeling. But how do you see that probably this core subject of non-harmonized industry across states, non-harmonized tax structure, route to markets, how MOFPI can help us in addressing that? Maybe in the longer run, maybe not in the next 6 months to a year. As Anand said very clearly, it would be a roadmap, set the ball rolling. Maybe we get some results in the next 5 to 10 to 15 years. So, all yours.
No, I'll totally agree with what Iyer Saab said, that, being a federal polity and states being so attached to this subject because it is the main source of revenue for them, it's very difficult for industry to get around with the rules and regulations that the states have. It's no less a marvel that, the industry survives in such kind of complex system that we build in India. So that's a fact. No easy solution also. We cannot, beat around the bush. What I can suggest is that, 2-3 things comes to our mind. For example, one small beginning that we have tried to make is with the export part. So at least let us try a small beginning, how can we rationalize the export policy when it comes to the excise policy, at least the export part of it. So we have done some work. We are hopeful that we are, just waiting for the final clearance. A small step only, I would not say nothing path-breaking that we have done, but at least something we have done on the labeling requirements for exports. Hopefully they should come out very soon. And then, what I'm looking forward is not to the rationalization that we've done in the labels. The more challenging part and the more, the real challenge, I should say, is to convince the states. That is where the test lies. So this is the litmus test for us. We are doing some rationalization only for the export, which should be easy sell. And then we'll go to the states and kind of convince them, this is the reform that you need to do. We hope that the response would be positive because all of them are well-meaning. They want to, promote their states and the manufacturing capacity. So that would be good for us. Following that, we'll try to go for a separate export policy. Every state should have an excise policy, separately dedicated chapter for exports. That would be a second task for us. We'll look forward to comments from all of you. And then also we go to the states and kind of convince them. We will reach out to them one by one also, the bigger states, so that, we convince them it is in their interest to, follow those model kind of prescriptions that we can come out with. Then, of course, the larger issue would be what changes are required in the respective policies. As Anandji said, at least the non-financial ones should not be so difficult. And they are really irritant sometimes, right? It's not so much that the states are earning also, but it's more in terms of inconvenience that the industry has to face. So that one also should be, it's just sometimes a matter of taking it forcefully with the states. So just sitting here, I'm thinking maybe something like a GST council, maybe a meeting of the excise ministers. We can plan for it very nicely. Let's have a one-day, very full-day session, and we can hope to invite all the excise commissioners and the ministers, and let's have a thorough brainstorming session on that. Hopefully, after that very detailed, intensive discussion, it will dawn upon them that some of the things, just because of inertia, they are there. It's just a matter of inertia. If they exercise their attention to those issues, I think they will find a way to do it. So we'll try to think of, we can do a Chintan Shivir, we can call a meeting of all the state excise commissioners and ministers and look at the larger reform. But before that, we'd like to complete this excise policy part, because exports, because that we see is a much easier goal to do. That we'll do. Other than that, Madam mentioned about FSSAI. So I'll be, again exhorting the industry. Now we have created structures. In the last few months, we have been working on it. Now we have some structures available with us. So it is for you now to feed us. Give us the information. Give us the, what is the pain points. We'll take a considered call on that, because industry again is very heterogeneous. We have to listen to the entire industry. We'll listen to it, and then we'll take up with FSSAI. And believe me, things have started moving. Things have happened. For example, I'll give you one old example and one more a recent one. An old example, for example, earlier the FSSAI rule required that for every new product, the producer had to go to the regulator for approvals. Then at the ministry's behest and intervention, it was changed, and it was decided that if the ingredient approval is there, then product approval is not required. So if your ingredients are approved, if you come with a different combination, it is well and good, no problem. So that's a very big convenience for the producers. That happened a few years back. Again, I think our ministry played an instrumental role there. Same thing now we have done in case of the front of pack labeling. Still under consideration only, but we are very, very hopeful that we'll come up with a decision which is very balanced, which takes care of the industry's concern. So likewise, when it comes to Alcobev, if there are issues with FSSAI, because that we are dealing on a regular basis. Likewise for customs also, we have our colleagues here, our ministries, they always talk to Commerce Ministry. When you have those trade negotiations, our ministry represents the sector, so they do participate there, and whatever the industry's requirements, they are very forcefully put there, and we do take care of that. Custom also, there are different issues. Latest was regarding the cocoa products, Carota regulation, some issue was there with our importers, so that also was settled through our ministry's intervention. So that we do, but FSSAI being a regulator, it is more on a regular basis. So if we have issues with FSSAI, I'll request kindly bring it to our notice in writing. We'll just compile. We'll have one round of discussion with you. We'll thrash them out. We'll write clearly. And once we are convinced that these issues need to be taken up with FSSAI, believe us, we will take them to the logical end. That will be.
Thank you very much for those words, sir, because I think it kind of gives us a comfort that there is a parent ministry now in the government of India to which we can take our issues, and we know it will go to the other ministries in a very, very organized manner, and the issues will get addressed. So I think that is something which is very, very heartening for the entire industry, and we're very thankful to you for that. Coming to Rajneesh, you've been part of the industry. You now work as an advisor, so maybe an inside-outside view. Keeping the subject still where it is, but looking at the diversity, looking at the various complexities, how do you think the whole business will now from here onwards, the landscape of the Alcobev business will look to expand in India, with this kind of a complex structure that prevails. An outside view is what probably everybody would be looking at from a person who's been a part of the regulatory sector of the industry. So over to you for your views.
Yeah, thank you, Sanjeev. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Well, that's a very, very interesting perspective that you have asked me to put in. And I would like to summarize by saying that the regulatory perspectives have changed quite a bit, especially with the Ministry of Food Processing, JS, sitting with us here in the panel itself is testament to the fact that we have, rather the industry has seen the growing support from the government side. And our own industry's AI, Ananta here, will support me. Will support me with the fact that, we have together been engaging not only with MOFPI, but also with Ministry of Commerce to try and have the regulations in line where we do not see discrimination. Unfortunately, it is the domestic industry which is facing discrimination against the imported products, which is strange enough for me. But yes, we are trying our level best, especially because I'm representing few of my clients at these ministries, to try and negate these kind of practices of discrimination. The second is that when we talk about the growth perspective, let us understand the legal position, which is very clear that, it is res extra commercium. In legal parlance, in layman terms, it means that unlike any other business which a person has fundamental right to do business in India, doing business within alcoholic beverage sector is a privilege. That privilege is granted by the state government by way of licensing. Now, if at all we look at the licensing, I take it as two sides of the coin. One is the state government's licensing for you to grow, and there we have seen changes, but as Anant was rightly mentioning, that what we need to see is simplification of the maze in terms of harmonization of taxation system, in terms of implementation of a model excise policy, in terms of simplicity to the industry, not only to operate but also to grow. It is going to bring in consumer welfare. It is going to curb your illicit alcohol smuggling, interstate arbitrage, which he was rightly mentioning. So all these are positive factors which will not only, you see, state excise is already the king. So it is only going to add to their revenue, but it brings a lot of simplification in terms of ease of doing business, in terms of doing business within alcoholic beverage industry. Now the other side of the coin is the license to grow internally within the company. My only take is that, implement regulatory agility within your organization, which means that, simplify, ensure compliance to all the regulations, and if need be, you have a corporate affairs team or take outside help, but do ensure that, that kind of regulatory agility is there to comply with the regulations. That's it, Sanjeev.
Great, Rajneesh. Thank you very much for those views. I think that's somebody who's now outside the industry telling us what is there. But I think we've spoken a lot about fragmented taxation and all those things. What about some of the other license levers which can bring about growth? And Ashutosh, we've not forgotten you on the panel. We know you're there, and that's where my next question to you would be on the overall retail density. We know we've got about 5 retails per lakh of population in India, whereas I think a country like China has 6 million points of sale. So with that kind of a challenge in terms of this, how do you think that in future online retail selling or home delivery can help us, grow? What kind of a regulatory framework do you think would work for that?
So, thank you for having me on this panel. As far as the online retailing or delivery is concerned, I think during COVID period, few governments got proactive and started the home delivery. But I think the bigger issue with home delivery in India is that we are not able to fully exploit that potential. This sector is so regulated that you have licensing and very clearly defined margins for each member or a person in the value chain. So till the time there is flexibility in those channel partner margins, the concept of home delivery would remain a challenge. And especially when all states in India have a different route to market. There's no uniformity on the prices, no uniformity on the margin structures. Wherever this has been done, I think two states are doing it right now, Bengal and Odisha. But it happens in a very limited manner. Very few brands, I think only in the premium space, are getting some mileage out of this. But I think unless we are able to figure out a unified route to market, which I think Anand touched base upon in terms of how the regulation really impacts our business, the concept of home retail, home delivery would remain, in my personal view, a distant dream for this industry.
Okay. Moving further, we are a dark industry. We have relied on brand extensions, surrogate advertising for a very long time. But I think now the regulatory landscape around that is also changing. ASCI has come out with its own tightened self-regulation. DOCA, Department of Consumer Affairs, is also working on it. So how do you think that the future of brand building, from a brand building perspective, how this kind of a regulation is going to impact the industry negatively or positively, and how we work on this further with the government?
So just to give some perspective, that being a dark industry, we are not allowed to advertise. But pre-COVID 2019, since then, this industry has added about 8 crore cases during this period. This is the IWSR data. It could be plus minus some quantity. This is despite it being a dark market. So we sell about 42 crore cases of just IMFL, which give or take translates to about 360 crore 750 ml bottles. This gets sold without advertising. But if you dive deeper into it, just looking at some data points, out of the total whiskey sale in India, about 2/3 of the whiskey sale is cornered by 10 brands. And all those 10 brands are legacy brands. So when I say legacy brands, they have been in the market for about 20 years or more. And they started operating in the era when you had sort of free advertising. I still remember advertisement of some of those brands coming on the television in that era. And on the other hand, during last 2 years, about 100 brands, new brands have been launched as well. But the whole growth story of Alcobev sector is skewed towards the legacy brands. For new brands, the playing field is not level, because your avenue to advertise is very restricted. Now with the ASCI regulations, creating a surrogate is extremely difficult. Your social media advertising norms have been tightened. So the only space that you really get is paid PR or in-store. And in-store as well, with all these brands, and again the legacy brands and big brands operating, you get very little space. So the space is getting squeezed for the new brands to come in and operate. So the way forward is that there has to be some amount of a level playing field which has to come into play. And that can only happen when the government brings about amendment to this 1995 Cable Television Act, which prohibits televising or advertising of Alcobev products. But I think, looking at our political landscape, I think it's a very wishful thinking that I am putting forth, that this amendment needs to happen. But that is the only way, in my opinion, that the new brands will find enough headroom for them to grow and become maybe as big as these 10 legacy brands have become till date.
Great. So despite the challenges, I think the sector continues to grow. But then we have one person on the panel representing the government, and I would want to give him the privilege addressing the last question, but before that, the other four people on the panel, I would want to give an interesting twist to the discussion, and I would want each one of you to don the regulator's hat. If you don the regulator's hat, if you were the regulator, what is it, those 2 or 3 big strategic changes in the regulation that you would look at in the maybe next 1 decade that can really help this sector unleash the growth that we all look forward to? So maybe to each, all 4 of you, and then maybe I'll go with my closing question to Devesh. Rajneesh.
Very interesting. Well, the first and the foremost that I would do is to try and have the taxation and duties nomenclature to remain the same all through the country. Of course, state excise departments can go ahead and fill in their respective percentages. That can differ, but at least have the same nomenclature of duties and taxes.
What I would have as a regulator, and if I look at a state, and if I need a regular X percentage of growth year on year, I'd like a very predictable revenue system where the way we price products, while there will be enough responsible drinking campaigns and what have you, and it's got to be within the societal responsibilities, we need to ensure that there is growth. So keep prices intact so that there is that elasticity at work, right? So segments grow, that's one. Secondly, ensure a more healthy retail and on-premise distribution, which would really help across the state, if I may say so. And third, with Indian tourism by itself being a huge, what should I say, a customer base, if I may say so, right? If along with the state tourism departments, promote tourism and ensure that the touristy places and the hospitality sector, whether it's F&B outlets, hotels, and what have you, MICE, etc., are all in a space that they know it's predictable. I can invest, I can grow, and allow more revenue growth. So have that, and all this will also bring investment in the sector, whether it's ethanol production or ENA production or malt spirit or breweries or wineries, what have you. Have predictability.
Ashutosh sir.
I think for me it would be a unified route to market and a unified tax structure, just like all FMCG products have. That's what I would love to have if I had a magic wand.
Pratna.
So pre-COVID, we could not think about online deliveries. But now that option is open, and West Bengal is running it for a while, for now 3 years, and they have 2 formats. For us, we always need data and what are the obstacles that come in. They run 2 formats, and those both are running very well. One is with Spencer's, wherein they give a special license, and the other one is with Swiggy, wherein they give the opportunity to the retailers to only service. You can choose your retailers. So all those work has already been done. Now these 2 data points are there, 2 kinds of formats are there, templates are there. If we could now think about that little seriously, then in a day and age where we don't have time to even go to the parlor and we call urban clap, I think we are missing out somewhere. So we can bridge that. And it will only get more, the chances of getting illicit alcohol will be lesser if this happens. If that can happen, that's a magic wand. If you have it in your hand, I don't.
Rajneesh, want to add something?
Yes, absolutely. Initially, I thought that I should give chance to everyone. A couple of additional aspects that I would love to cover as a regulator is, one is freedom to price. Because currently there are restrictions even on wines as well as on spirits. The second is the price increase. Despite all the inflationary measures, the associations talking to the regulators, they are not listening. So there has to be certain amount of understanding from their side. So these are a couple of additional points that I thought that,
Great. So, sir, you heard from our experience panel and kind of a wish list, or maybe if they are on the other side of the table, how they probably want to do it for the industry. But probably I would want to end this discussion with you. I started with you. I would want to end this panel discussion with you. And whatnot, your government has taken a very big target of $1 billion worth of exports of alcohol products by 2030. We are currently at, I think, 2,200 crores or something, to 200 million kind of a thing. It's a very, very ambitious target, but I think as an industry, we are very happy that the government of India has taken and given the industry that kind of a challenge. How do you think, you see the role of MOFPE in then strategically helping the industry and its global competitiveness, helping it to scale up, innovate and build brand India in the international market? I think in the earlier panel we spoke about brand India. So how do you think, MOFPE can play a role? And this is beyond tax and beyond revenue contribution that we're talking about. This is purely building brand India for internationally. What's the role of MOFPE there?
So see, like in terms of exports, we have set ambitious targets, almost 3 times or more of what we are doing presently, and in not a very great period of time, just another 5 or 6 years. So not an easy task at all, but I think I must compliment the industry that why the government feels so confident or emboldened to set such a target, because our industry has done well. I think we feel all very proud that when we learn and when we read about the accolades and the remarkable achievements that our brands and our industry has achieved over the various geographies. So that is what is the starting point, that a sense of self-belief is there, that our industry has reached that level. We can do that. I think that is a starting point. And then it has to be a whole of government kind of approach. I mentioned, in government, all of us would come together to help in whatever way we could. So example, say DPIT is coming up with an, they do it periodically, ease of doing business ranking they do. They link it to various kind of reforms. So sometimes it's electricity related reforms, sometimes it's land records related reforms, whatever the country requires. If I'm informed correctly, I think they are also looking in terms of excise. What reforms the excise policies are taken by the state governments. Maybe not the core ones, but at least those which are irritating, which leads to lack of predictability, at least those could be done. So something's happening on that front. We've also discussed that there could be a digital platform, where we can have all India, we can issue the licenses, registration, all could be done digitally at single platform. Even payments could be made. So it's still a discussion is happening, but again, the ministry is concerned, will take the lead, we will kind of, take up with them. FSSI, for example, you mentioned repeatedly that this lack of predictability is what is really hurting this industry. We do not know what's going to happen tomorrow. In such an uncertain scenario, difficult to decide and plan for anything. So a simple example again, now FSSI has agreed that they will bring out any changes only from 1st of July of every year. Nothing in between. So nothing, no abrupt changes in between. So a simple step, for example. So what I'm saying is that a whole of government approach is what we will work. You mentioned about our Indian tourism, Indian cuisine. That also we are cognizant of that. And ministry in MOFPE, we have initiated discussion with food service industry also. Because that's also we realize one very big way of promoting our exports. Because if Indian food is nobody needs an introduction to it, it's fairly popular. Still we can do a lot. And we can piggyback on Indian cuisine and take our food products to the various markets. And food and beverages go together. So cuisine of F&B sector, they will do well. That will really help a lot in building this brand India. Quality is a very big consideration. So we have to be also vigilant about our own internal sector. We have to look at the players that are coming in, the not so good practices sometimes. Our regulator also has to do his job. So they'll be vigilant about those kind of practices. So quality we have to maintain, then only we can build and sustain that brand that we are trying to build. APIDA is there, it is their mandate, so we work very closely with APIDA, Commerce Ministry. We want to aggressively push our Indian alcobev brands in, various fairs and various exhibitions. We are going to, improve our budget for the advertising and promotion policies so that we can give opportunity to our sectors to come and participate and, to give us place to our brands. So these are some things, but as I said, it's only, it's still a work in progress. We would love to interact with you. We'd love to meet you in detail, have discussion. Of course, not that we are first time meeting. We have met a few times, but it's been like, a bit random. So let us come together in one roof. Let us have a detailed discussion. And I'm very sure that blueprint that will come will be able to follow that up. So these will be my final thoughts. But I really look forward that as a sector, we should do well. And together, I feel we all can do that.
Sure, sir. Thank you very much. I think together, we shall, and we would. Thanks a lot for your presence here, and thank you everyone for being on this panel, for giving us your views. Thanks a lot.
Hi, before you end, my name is Gyanendra, and I run a consulting company in India under the name of Hops Marketing. So it was very interesting and to hear from all the panelists. I just have a small question to you, sir. Since, we said we are moving the small steps ahead to reach to a final step ahead, I understand completely that, the policies and alcohols are run by the constitution and they are a state subject. They are not the central government subject. But coming as to MFI, one small step as you've taken towards the export, I would say, why don't we take LDA also, which will also help us to move and give confidence to the industry that, we can target and move. If we can have a uniform LDA policy across. LDA is, LDA, I will just clarify, it's a legal drinking age. LDA is legal drinking age. So since, we being from Delhi has one of the highest
So is it a question or a suggestion?
It's both ways. So it's just a step. I'm taking a little 2 minutes of yours to just brief up on that. So if we take legal drinking age as a uniform across India, which will not only help us taking a step forward from the industry perspective, also as a step forward to, increase the volumes and growth, because we are not living in the aged ancient decades now, where the thought processes and young people like you are part of the government who also think that way. So I would like to have your opinion on the same.
I think it's a very valid suggestion, and I feel consensus can be built on this. It's nothing, as I said, it does not affect the revenues of the state. We are one country after all, right? So with proper reasoning and proper discussion, I think having a unified legal age for India is not a far-fetched aim. One can and one should hope for it. So this again, suggestion is noted. I think this also will be part of our deliberations and discussions.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Bishanji and Shalini ma'am. I please request you to join us on the stage. We'll also do a picture as well. Thank you so much, Mr. Vich, for moderating that, and all our panelists as well. Thank you. Thank you. May I please request you as well and also present a token of gratitude. Thank you. Ma'am, please. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. So before we move ahead, we have 2-3 minutes आगे बढ़ने से पहले. Yes, sir. Ankit ji, I believe that we had to try and organize a slot for you, something very interesting you had to share with us. We have 2-3 minutes abhi while they're doing something. We're just doing a slight changeover. While they do that, the tech team, we are here. I'll get that ready. Okay, before we move ahead, everybody who's standing, I please request you to take your seats. For your friends standing, your reaction gave it all. But I should stop. Ankit, right? So I have Ankit here with me before we move ahead with the next panel. Ankit has some very interesting bits to share about, which I do not know of, but I leave that to you, sir.
Once, good afternoon, everyone. And I really thrilled to unveil that. We always say that wine is challenging, wine is technical, spirits are very difficult to understand, and how to promote it, how to market it, or how to learn it. So I made a couple of apparatuses. One is named as multi-cuisine wine tasting harmonious wheel, and the other is automated vino gastronomic pairing wheel. So these two wheels are made with the concept how to make these spirits, these wines, this liquor more engaging, more interesting, how to make it a game and to present it in front of the people. I keep the models here in front on the right hand side, okay? So anybody can see the demo of it. Like generally we see the wheels which are fixed. Here they are into the 3D, into the 4D versions where we can rotate them. Every ring is rotatable, okay, and highly advanced so that the learning becomes easier, simpler, and engaging. So in place of more talking, I just suggest that make out a minute and see how it works over there. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody here who prefers wine to be their first or priority? Wine. Wine, anybody? Nobody? So do you enjoy wine? You're like, nahi, main nahi. What's your choice? Scotch. Nice. Okay, how many Scotch lovers in the house from the ones who are hearing? Scotch lovers. I see 1, I see 2, I see 3. Sir? Wine. Be precise. अच्छा मीट ओके पर ठीक है स्कॉच वाले मुझे 3 मिल गए हैं any others whiskeys who are whiskey lovers in the house? I thought you were raising your hand again. I thought what a colorful man, colorful personality. Okay, here wine we are done. Yes sir, sorry. Whiskey बड़ी देर से good. Gin, any gin lovers in the house? आप यार हर सारे हाथ आप साथ लेके चलते हो अच्छा ओ घर का नाम भी तो लेना ही है from the brand of course, how can you forget? Nice, okay. Gin, any gin lovers in the house? So you know आप वो bracket के बाहर वाले हो, आप you'll fit into everything. I see here's one gin lover. What else is left? What did I miss? Wine with tequila. Any tequila favorites? There. एकदम मोनिका के बाहर आप सही. Okay, tequila, I see 2. Ma'am, tequila as well. Yeah, the most important one, any non-drinkers who don't consume alcohol at all. ऐसे भी हैं, मुझे छोड़ के. Anybody? No, because I see one hand. अच्छा वो अंगड़ाई ले रहे थे. Okay, but everybody's. What's yours, Mr. Photographer? What's your choice? It's okay. After the show, we'll give you. Not before. Don't worry. Beer. Oh, any beer lovers? Yeah, I forgot to ask that. Beer. 1, 2. I see ma'am going up and down with the hand. That means you need these many to start with. Okay, beer for ma'am, beer for sir. There for you as well. Whiskey. Beer. 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 Achha, I can go with the next. So, what do you prefer, Vishwaji? What's your choice? Anything that comes free. Sir, आज तो दिन है आपका. आज आप जो मांगो. But good. It's good to know that what you prefer more. Nice. With that, it's also time to move ahead with our last panel discussion for today. Going to be extremely interesting. This is India behind the bar. Evolving taste, talents, and techniques. What all will be covered in this? The bar culture of 2025, the evolving role of mixologists, signature cocktails with local ingredients, the bartender as brand educator, rise of cocktail festivals, recognition and career development, also along with the art of storytelling, extremely important. And to talk about this, let's first welcome the moderator up on the stage, Mr. Rakshay Dariwal, founder and MD of Maya Pistola, Agave Pura, and Pascod Hospitality. A hospitality pioneer, an entrepreneur, he redefined India's modern F&B landscape when he introduced the country's first speakeasy bar, PCO, in 2012. Wow, I was in class 12 then, man. He now leads a portfolio of 15 acclaimed restaurants, as well as is the creator of Maya Pistola, Agave Pura, Asia's first aged 100% agave spirit. Joining him are the panelists, the first Mr. Inderpreet Singh Sethi, Head, Luxury and Reserve Channel Marketing and Advocacy, Diageo India. In his 15-year-long career in branding, marketing and sales, Mr. Inderpreet has demonstrated strong expertise in developing and executing business strategies, launching brands, leading high-impact national campaigns, and also managing end-to-end marketing communication. Joining them is Mr. Amit Sangwan, General Manager, Novotel Ahmedabad. He brings over 2 decades of hospitality experience marked by leadership, operational excellence, and guest-centric innovation. He began his career with Marriott International, held key roles across various global hotel chains, and now drives exceptional performance, which has eventually earned him various recognitions. Passionate about people and performance, he is here to talk about this topic. Joining them is Mr. Nitin Tiwari, founder, bartender, Bar Kala, and also 3060. One of India's most celebrated mixologists with huge fan following on social media, जिसमें से पहली बार इतने सारे लोग तालियां बजा रहे हैं. You should have been in the morning, man. Began his journey in hospitality before discovering his passion behind the bar, leading highly recognized venues like Rick's at the Taj Mahal Hotel to co-founding India's first Indian cocktail bar, Ek Bar. He has redefined cocktail culture. Founder of Bartender, Barkara, and also 3060. Nitin is a consultant, educator, content creator, extremely handsome man sitting right there. Joining them is Mr. Santanu Chanda. Santanu Chanda, Group Beverage Manager, PVR Limited. One of India's most awarded mixologists, known for transforming cocktails into immersive experiences. Earned titles like World Class Bartender of the Year India 2024 and McKellen Creative Collective winner 2025, amongst many others. His creative force behind home innovation, inspiring global audience through his craft and hospitality. Joining them also is Mr. Dushyant Tanwar, portfolio advocate, Suntory Global Spirits. He's a portfolio advocate for North and East India at Suntory Global Spirits, driving brand advocacy and engagement across markets. Started his bartending career in 2012 at the Park, Kolkata. He's honed his craft at names like Now Spirits, Bartender, Monica Alcobev, amongst many others. He has twice been recognized as a world-class India finalist. With your thunderous applause, please welcome the people who make your drinks much more interesting. They are here. I only see 4 of you clap, not many more. Now making it to 10. Lovely. Gentlemen, sir, please.
Hello. Hi guys, good early evening, good afternoon. My name is Rakshit Hariwal and thank you for being here today. Welcome to this ThinkPad session on India Behind the Bar, Evolving Tastes, Talents and Techniques. Over the last decade, India's bar scene has evolved a lot. We had a couple pioneering F&B bars that just focused on classic cocktails, maybe an old-fashioned or two. And today, we've got a thriving ecosystem of creativity and craftsmanship. Just in GK2 and Vasant Vihar, Vasant Kunj alone, you've got probably 20 outlets in each of those small colonies, each with a bar program second to none. Today, any bar worth their salt probably has a rotovap. If you don't have a great ice supplier, you might have an in-house ice program. And that's where we've reached. Gone are the days of sweet and salty cocktails with fruit juices mixed with them. Today, where people are drinking spirit-forward mezcal Negronis. And that's where we've reached. We live in a land of spices, and we've finally embraced using them. From using kokum, from using saffron, turmeric, jaggery, gondharaj, and all our indigenous herbs. We make cordials, we make shrubs, we make bitters. You know why? Because we just can't get liqueurs and bitters in our country, unfortunately. If you attended the panel before, you will get a little understanding as to why we can't. But apart from having spices, our land is so diverse and so vast. We've got Himalayan juniper. We've got agave growing on the highlands of the Deccan Plateau of India that are making some award-winning great spirits. Today, as I said before, India is second to none. And that is also because of our population. With our population, consumers have become a lot more knowledgeable. They've become a lot more curious. And that's made brands follow suit as well. Brands have invested more than ever before. And finally, the bar fraternity is finally being acknowledged as the rock stars, the artists, the entrepreneurs that they truly are. Today's conversation is about decoding this evolution, how taste is shifting, how talent is being built, and how global techniques are merging with local identity to create a uniquely Indian voice behind the bar. To explore this, we've got a powerhouse panel representing every corner of the ecosystem. We'll miss Inder, but I think the rest of us will be able to take this forward. Since the intros are done, I'll jump straight into it with Shantanu. Today, what have you learned about designing drinks for today? Specifically, is it craft or technique only, or is there something more important at play, like the speed at delivering the cocktail, or the balance, or the smash worthiness, in your opinion?
Well, I think it's a 4 or 5 power pack question in a one go, and I think this all are fantastic. I think simplicity stands out tall. It's any given day, and you give the guest what they want. That's very simple and easy. Of course, speed matters a lot. I remember when I used to work in a nightclub 12, 13 years back. Yes, definitely speed matters. But yeah, today, looking at, we are standing on 2025. Of course, the craft and technique has to be there. Drink has to be smashable. But at the same time, I believe in simplicity and giving the guest whatever they want. If a glass of water makes them happy, give them a glass of water. If a chilled bottle of beer makes them happy, give them a chilled bottle of beer. Of course, everybody wants to experiment and go beyond and make guests and patrons happy. Yes, you do that if they need that. but I think you stay true to your core hospitality. I think that's what I believe.
No, absolutely. I think what Shantanu is saying is that hospitality is at the core of everything. As long as the guest is being, serviced properly, fast enough, your drink should be well balanced. And I think the baseline, what you're trying to say is the craft and technique is the baseline today.
Yes, correct, yes.
And that morphs in perfectly for my next question to Nitin. As the founder of Barkala, what is the attitude and mindset of new freshers joining? What is the baseline that they're joining with? And what is exactly going through their minds when they sign up?
Perfect. Thank you. Hello, everyone. In regards to young bartenders who are coming into industry, they have a very good exposure to start with. They are seeing people doing great cocktails, using great techniques, because Instagram or social media has everything in access with them. Now, is it a good thing or a bad thing? That's a question to ask. I personally feel it is setting big expectations in very early time. People in current times, like some young bartenders jump in, they really want to become the rock stars from day one. They don't understand that it has taken years of hard work for all of these people to reach what the level they have reached. So when we are educating people in our academy, we feel that a lot of people who come early, they want quick success. But to be honest, just like every other field in this world, there's nothing called quick route or a shortcut for anything. But obviously, there are a set of people who are very serious about what they know the processes that goes behind. They are very focused, they are very well aware of things because they have seen it. Like a lot of people, initially when we started our career, we didn't have access to internet as well. We were not able to read about things. Now these people have already done courses online, they're coming with information. So it really helps them to excel in what they are doing. But I think the only place where they need to just figure out their way is that success will not come to them in overnight. It will take few years of hard work that you put in and then you get succeeded.
Yeah, I think that's a big point to, maybe we can delve in a little further into that today people, it's just the mindset of youngsters today. They want everything quickly. They want instant fame, instant success. And I mean, Mr. Bartender, you've been, I remember from 13 years ago when your Bacardi days to seeing where you are today, it's taken many years to get there, but
exactly, like if I have to give you, like, people know me from, let's say, post-COVID through social media, but no one has seen the amount of work that I have done pre-COVID. I started my career officially in 2003. I've been bartending from then. And like, even when they say like, oh, social media is great and everything, I was like, yeah, I've made post for non-stop for last 6 years. And then they understand that it's 2,700 posts that I've done non-stop. And if you are able to do that, then obviously you will be successful. So everything takes its own time. You have to put efforts, you have to put your learnings, and it will be successful. And I think that's the only thing that I can say to the young people who are coming into the industry. But to be honest, there's great prospect. The people are very excited about it. And more and more people are coming into the industry because they're looking not only the glamour side, but also the technical side of it. So it's good for the industry.
What is the baseline of their technical abilities, the ones who join up?
See, unfortunately, with how the industry operates, because there is restrictions of people working behind bar and industry, like as liquor considered to be a taboo. So people don't have chances to practically do these things. They might have the technical know-how of reading it in a piece of paper, but it's easy to remember a recipe of daiquiri, but it's very difficult to actually make a daiquiri for a guest sitting in front of you. And that's the only difference that the youngsters are getting now. So in our academy as well, we focus largely on practical trainings. We tell everyone to make every single cocktail with alcohol, taste it and understand it, because that's how you will grow as a bartender. And the young people who are coming in now, they're getting slowly, steadily their chance. There are a lot of good cocktail bars opening, so they're getting a chance to actually try those things. And I think it will really help them to excel their careers as well.
Amazing. Maybe, Mr. Sangwan, if you could expand on this bit a little bit, because I'm sure for you guys, the challenge has been all over the place, because, having to run the kind of hotels that you've run, and I've been that IT student, at a hotel, and I just remember what was going through my head all those many, years ago. And how do you shape and mold these guys? How are you able to catch the gems and show them mentorship and a proper career path?
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for me being here. I think same as what Nitin mentioned, I've also started my career in the similar year in 2003. Right? We both are in different domain. We both started our career as a bartender. So in last 20, 22 years, I think we have seen the evolve, how the industry has evolved, how liquor sector has evolved, what beverage custodians are, right? The bartenders, what they used to be and how it's now. So I think the good part, what is happening these days is accessibility, the social media, things are in reach. You have a quick access, you don't have to waste time to fetch information, that's one. But yes, as you mentioned, retaining staff, good talent in hotels or in any other sector, it's still a challenge, right? Now, the reason being the good recognition platforms, right? And which helps them to get diversified and to be present on required platforms, it's still missing somehow. I think we as a senior, how we take this as a learning is being mentoring somebody, mentorship, what we have learned throughout with our experience, just to narrate those things, to share our experience and to help them to give that platform and accountability and empowerment, I would say, to make them realize that beverage sector or being a bartender is not restricted just behind the bar. I mean, there are so many ample options, right, which you can explore. So it's gone better, and I'm sure with time it will be further more better, right, in times to come, choosing bartender and being in bar as a career option.
And what are the challenges that sometimes a five-star hotel would face in attracting that true gem, that person who will end up being a Dushant or who will end up being, any one of us? How do you find that raw talent, or is it just luck?
No, it's not that tough. As I mentioned, span of attention is getting decreased these days, right? We used to read books. We moved to Facebook reading articles. We moved to Insta looking at posts, and now it's a span of few seconds of attention, and we are just concentrated only to stories, for example, right? Now that's a normal human behavior. It's there with everybody, more with new generation, I would say, or new Gen Zs. To keep them engaged just by offering them monetary value probably doesn't help these days. They should get value for their time, right? If they are behind the bars, if they are working in hotels, they should feel proud. They should be engaged all the time, I would say. Work-life balance has to be maintained, and we as seniors, we need to think from their perspective. And if those things, those parameters get into sync, I think getting the right talent, right fit for any of the hotel or sector, it's not that tough. So it's pretty doable. Campus interviews are not restricted to IHM these days. Hotel graduates can be hired from different sectors, right? Which was not the case few years back, for example. So there are ample options. And I think if somebody who is passionate about their work and doesn't think any work, small or big, hotel industry is one of the good option for them, where the future is secured, the expansion plans are there, and we are sitting in the most populated country on the globe, right? So which means people will eat and they will travel. And that is what hospitality caters for. So I think beverage is the DNA of any hotel. Bartender is the strength of that DNA, and I think there's a long way to go.
No, and it's important to note, hospitality is such an important sector in our country. That's how, with good hospitality, we'll get more, tourists flocking to us. We'll, as a country, prosper. And a big part of, what brands do is they reach out through mediums like hotels, bars, restaurants, cocktail bars, to be able to push their advocacy. And this question is for you, Dushant. coming from Beam Suntory, how important is consumer engagement and experience for brands to invest in? Is there any measurable ROI? I know there's thousands of guest shifts that you probably get emails, will you sponsor this senior, will you sponsor this? But how do you determine the ROI? How do you determine which ones to actually take forward? And why do brands partake in these activities? Because I've been told a lot that it's a little thankless as for a brand, instead of seeing Toki there, One Night in Tokyo, is a very strong IP. But if it's not One Night in Tokyo, maybe it's sponsored by Jim Beam or whatnot. So how do you determine the ROI, and how do you determine which ones to actually jump into?
Great question, by the way. Thank you so much. First of all, I would say that you can also answer this question in terms of Pistola. But let's say brand engagement and engaging the consumer in the lines of the brand. Storytelling is a big part of it. We as bartenders, like I started off as a bartender, and then to have great mentors like Nitin sir who teach you the ways, it sort of sets you in and teaches you that till the point you're telling the right story about the brand and actually engaging the consumer with that story, when you make that connect with the consumer and you actually sort of appeal to their empathy or their sense of nostalgia, it really, really helps them to become brand loyalists, which is the ultimate goal of all our storytelling. Knowledge is a big part of it. We at Suntory lead all our sessions and all our storytelling based with knowledge as its core. In terms of ROI, let's say, sales definitely has a set ROI. You know that there's a specific number that is achieved at the end of the day. In terms of, let's say, brand advocacy and the events that we do, there is a certain number of activities that we do that can be quantified. The number of people that come to your activity and are engaging with your brand is sort of quantifiable. And nowadays with social media, the more amount of people that engage with your brand becomes an ROI as well. On top of everything, it's that brand loyalty that you gather and you cultivate. Let's say with Lafroig, we have the Friends of Lafroig program. The more people I reach out to and the more people who sign up gives me a quantity of that these are the number of people that I have reached and have touched their lives and have touched their drinking habits. So ROI in my line of work is a little tough, but the amount of effort that we put in is quantifiable, and at least the feedback we get out of it and the sales that are generated in the subsequent months are sort of a clear sign of the good work that we are doing around the industry.
That's the challenging thing. In our line of work, there is no immediate ROI. It's not like you run an online campaign, you get those clicks, and it translates into sales. In ours, it's a much slower process. You ran the One Night in Tokyo. You managed to get a Nitin Tiwari to come attend it. He'll maybe upload something about it. It'll go sit in someone's mind. Then they'll be like, okay, when they're at the G-towns of the world next, maybe they'll remember, oh, actually, this one night, let's try Toki. And you're right, there's a lot of that, so it's very tough to actually judge ROI in our industry. We're not like the UK where, okay, my bottle is sitting on Whiskey Exchange, I'm running this thing on Instagram, I've boosted some, ads, and boom, 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 I've gotten some conversions. It's impossible. And I think the panel before this as well was speaking about the importance of being able to advertise, because you advertise, you put, you know, a spot on TV or whatever, and then in the next couple of months you can see, okay, what is the increase in sales. So it's very challenging.
I would like to add one thing here. The regulations, like the last panel was discussing, the regulations in our country also make it very difficult for us to gather this information. Let's say if you're in the UK or in the US or anywhere in Europe, for that matter of fact, if Santori is leading an experience, there is also an option to get the consumer to buy your product on the spot, which becomes a very, very big challenge in India.
Yeah, it's impossible. Coming from India Cocktail Week, that's one thing we've always wanted to do. We always wanted to have our brands being able to get sold at the venues, because then they could at least measure some sort of ROI, right? And it's unfortunately, due to the laws and regulations in this country, we're unable to do that. But, you know, that's the lay of the land, and unfortunately, we just have to keep on living it. Let's get back a little to, you know, creativity, consistency. And Amit, this question is for you. How do you balance in you know, 5 stars? You've got to cater to corporates, you've got to cater to weddings, and you've also got to cater to, you know, the leisure clientele. How do you set up a bar? Let's talk about a lobby bar. Let's you know, deep dive. A lobby bar that would be able to cater to all 3 segments. I, for one, you know, I've got lots of restaurants and bars. I would pull my hair out trying to figure out how to create a product for a lobby bar that could cater to all 3.
So, of course, hotels are meant to cater to all sort of guests, be it somebody on staycation, leisure, corporate, or a wedding guest, or an FIT, or a foreigner, expats, Indian, whosoever it is, right? But still, the main real essence of any particular hotel is inclined towards one sector, more of it, right? Few hotels are known as wedding destination hotels, few hotels has huge turnaround, which means the length of stay is less, and businessmen tend to stay only for one night or maybe for few hours, like typical Aero City, for example, right? It's a business hotel. All of them are business hotel. Now, you need to cater to everyone, as you mentioned, from that lobby lounge bar. Now, the basic theory behind this, as a starting my own career as a bartender and then become bar manager and beverage guy, I would say is to check the pulse of that hotel, to check the essence, and somebody has to be taught in a way how to create relationship with your guest, how to connect, how to keep them engaged, and how much time he or she has, right? I think that's important. So which means little more attention towards your body language, little more attention towards not the bookish knowledge, I would say, but yes, what is the real need? And to I think summarize, I would say loyalty becomes a good factor, that yes, this is a repeat guest, this is a first-timer guest. So there are different ways to deal with those certain guests. Now, is it only bar that one has to be concerned in a lobby lounge for your drinks? No, equally probably any beverage is important, which could be your coffee or could be a great cup of tea, because lounges are meant for that, right? Somebody is waiting, somebody is frustrated, somebody is complaining for the late check-in. So one has to understand that mood. So I think that drink dispensing from a lobby lounge has to be based on the mood, right? What a guest is carrying. And accordingly, then you can upsell, then you can suggest sell. Team has to be clear enough what is the difference between the two, right? If to a wrong client, if you have, instead of suggesting him, you have trying to upsell them, then it's a wrong call and probably will fall apart. So I think it's team, collective effort, and to judge the mood of a guest is more critical, more important.
So basically, I think a dynamic personality, if you see a group of guys, like this hotel up here, I'll speak about my own example. I've come for a wedding and all of us were dressed in proper Indian clothes, and all of us went to the lobby bar. Some people drinking beer, some people having shots and all, being able to judge that, being like, being excited for them, talk about, oh, so whose wedding is it, I think it's the personality behind the bar that would make a big difference. Whereas someone comes in a suit, someone's looking a little tired, they just want to, have a beer, watch whatever cricket match is on, and just eat some, of the nuts or whatnot.
Yeah, and to add on, I think from any of the staff of a hotel, the maximum flexibility and that flamboyancy is expected from a bartender or the guy who's standing behind the bar, right? He has to be quick, he has to be prompt, and he has to decide as per
uh, there are a lot of people who knows their product and everything. Mostly those people who have experience in the industry before because they have understood the right thing. In current times, things are changing a lot because everything is becoming more about the marketing, the power of winning awards and all this stuff, which is great for a successful outlet. But when you start with an idea that, I am opening this bar to win a particular award or to be on a list, I think that's not the right approach. As Sir mentioned, at the end, what matters the most, or Santanu also said, is the product that you're going to put. What's your drink strategy? What's your food strategy? What's your decor? And how it is all coming together as a venue. I think lately when we do consultancies, we get a lot of calls regularly, and they start with that, okay, we want to open a bar and we want it to be on a 50 best bar list in 1 year, which is technically not possible, to be honest. Even you create the most magical cocktail and everything. India is a country where consumers are the king. They are paying money, so you need to keep that in mind. I think that is also a very important point that everyone who is entering in the space should know that. And I think third and most important, that everyone is not trying to focus on the individual character that each bar should have. Bars are not about, a person goes to a bar, anyone can drink a drink in their home as well. They can sit, pour a drink and enjoy it. The reason someone goes to a bar, because every bar has its own personality or the connect that it builds with the consumer. The most successful bars are those bars where people have gone regularly. It's not that it's not an experiential bar. The experiential bars are those, for example, there's a concept called ice bar. You will only go to that bar once because you'll just go there, take photos and everything. A good and successful bar is where you go repeatedly. Even if you go today, you can go tomorrow and day after, and you will still have a great experience. And that is completely dependent on the first two things again, whether how the bartender is, how they create interaction with you, and plus the product that you're serving. I think if they are able to do this, which is currently the big mistake that a lot of people are not focusing upon, if they're able to put up idea together for these, it'll be a success for sure.
Yeah, I think that's a big, very important lesson that we should all learn. That you don't need to chase awards. You just need to be hospitable. You need to stick true. You need to serve your clients to the best of your ability. Take good care of them, and the rest I think should follow. Will follow. Shantanu, I think important question for you. You've of course won all the awards from being on top 50 lists to being world-class winner of India. For you, you run multiple venues all across the country. How do you structure training and retention at scale across multiple sites to keep beverage quality consistent and also making sure that you are accomplishing everything that Nitin spoke about in terms of service and just being good to your guests?
Oh, that's first thing he asked me that how's your team, and I think your team has moved the ladder, and they are doing wonderful stuff, and we spoken at length that when they grow, of course they're gonna move, and you have to kind of accommodate them, their goal, also the way you have grown, they also want to grow. So it is always very difficult to retain the star team or the staff. But as a leader, you have to always find a very right balance. So you have to give them the best platform to learn and to grow as well. At the same time, I think also along with the retaining staff, it's not just retaining them in your company. I think you have to retain the friendship with them for a long term. So in a way that you groom them, mentor them in the best possible way, wherever they're going, either it's your company or they're in another company. So you be friend with them, mentor them, guide them in the best possible way, and stay in touch with them. I think that's fantastic. Also, I think if you talk about the quality and the how you maintain the quality for a long run, I think it's the training and development. You have to be very strict on the SOP that you create. You create a strong SOP and regulations. I think that's, and you as a leader, you monitor them in a very frequently and be strict about it. So I think in a way, and put a nice system in process. So in a way, I think it's doable. And I think there's a phrase. I think there is a book that talks about the hospitality. There is unreasonable hospitality. A lot of bars and restaurants all across the world in India, they follow those principles. But they follow those principles in terms of the guest. But I think we also follow those same principle to our staff, that unreasonable hospitality. You have to take care of them so well that, if they are not asking how they are, you have to talk to them very frequently, how they are, their family and everything. You have to know in and out. You have to know their name. As you are a good leader, you have to know not just your team, bar team, floor team, also from the housekeeping. So I think it's very important that you take a small details into the consideration, and I think that's the way forward.
Yeah, I think more than them working towards your aim, it is to be their mentor, to really usher them through, to take care of them, think of them as little brothers or little sisters, and just make sure that you're grooming them, and even if they choose to one day leave you, that you help shape their careers and you mentor them along the way. And yeah, I'm sure, Mr. Sangwan, you've got many of these guys who call you up regularly for advice and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think one has to, we all have read this, right? What is the difference between a boss and a leader, right? As a professional, as a starting from scratch, all of us probably, yes, we try and to be a leader, right? We have to set up the stage for the generations to come, and mentorship and to guide them properly is the best what you can impart, right? Rest, education, certifications, everything is so accessible, rather, they are more quick than us, right? But what they lack is just the experience and somebody to tell them that this is the right path and you are in safe hand, you are in right industry, and there are ample options. Don't restrict yourself just what will happen after being a bartender or what will be next, right? Bartender, beverage manager, other stuff, other industries, I mean, sky's the limit, right, to be honest.
I'll just want to add something like, see, in regards to people working in bars, everyone has a particular time that they will spend with you because it's impossible that it's not a marriage that is happening. It's just they're coming and working with you. Idea from a operator or owner should be that make the best use of it. Even if the bartender spends an year with you, make sure you do the best that is possible, because if you leave a bigger impact in their minds, you will be connected forever. One of the best examples, I saw it recently, is a bar called PCO. I think someone here knows it. So, you know, you recently did your celebration, and that movement of all your head bartenders working behind that bar, making drinks, and bartenders traveling from Hong Kong to come down and do that. And I'm not saying that, you know, when I met you there, I saw how proud you were with all those people standing in front of you, and that's the winning moment. I personally feel a success point for a bar is that when people who have worked in that bar are doing great in their lives, that is also how you measure the success of a bar. And I always tell people that this is how you should look at it.
We really missed both Chong and Webb at that party. Tried hard to get them to come. I was happy at least Bose came, but it would have been something truly special if Weber, Vin Chong could have been there. Unfortunately, due to circumstances, they couldn't, but we got the rest of everyone, and that was a fun night.
Actually, Tiwariji is being a little humble. If you look at the team that worked together at 12th, it was a very, very close-knit team. And if you look at where they are today and how their careers got shaped and how all of them, even me included, sort of come back to the whole experience and to Sir for guidance, that is what actual F&B family looks like, which you at PCO have really catered. And sadly enough, COVID happened and together at 12th had to go away. So yeah, that was, if you really, really actually mentor your subordinates and teach them how things are, and like Shantanu rightly said, you're not there to retain them, you're there to train them, and if they have to be let gone, they have to be let gone.
Absolutely. And you know, when people move on, you're hoping that it's for greener pastures and you wish them the best. You know, initially when I was very young in my career, I used to feel, you know, jalan aata tha, or, you know, you used to feel bad. But today when someone wants to leave, I'm like, listen, explain to me, let's talk. And sometimes it's a good move for them, sometimes it's not such a good move for them, but it's not my place to tell them. I'll tell them, listen, this is how I feel, decision is yours. And you know, it's you just wish them the best and want them to go further and further in their career. And you know, most of the times people I've worked with, they've actually come back to work with me again. So that's always a good thing. Salary we can talk about later, but it's something that happens. Dushyant, prior to Beam Suntory, you founded Spice Root Bitters, and you did an entrepreneurial journey. The simple question is, how hard was that, having to manage P&Ls, recruitment of staff, figuring out the production, It must have been extremely challenging, and this is one of the reasons why a lot of people leave. They say, listen, at PCO Bombay, I had someone leave me recently who's set up a cart selling like kachoris, or it's like something like that. And you know, for the life of me, good on you, great going. But how difficult was that process for you personally?
So I come from a family where everybody was in service. My dad worked for Air India, my mom was a teacher. Spice Route actually was the brainchild of the mad scientist of Indian bartending, Shubham Gupta. It was his baby. I did a master's in wines and spirits management, and he was kind enough to get me on the project as well. With Spice Route, actually, it was a very difficult journey for us. We sat on that project for some 5 years before we found an investor who actually recognized our passion behind the product. And then bitters is still a very, very niche product. We still face a lot of difficulty to get it into newer markets. We are currently selling that in Goa and in Maharashtra. But at least with that product, we had the mindset that this is our calling card. This will show the industry as to what we are capable of. That was our main objective behind Spice Route and the 2 bitters that we got out there, which is running well, touch wood. But yeah, finding investors, was a very, very difficult task in those aspects. And once you have that, and once you set up that infrastructure, because let's say finding a facility who would let us do it as well was another big challenge, because for a tiny volume, they were like, this will never make money, which we in our head were like, yeah, I am not making money out of this, but this is a passion-driven project that we want the world to see as well. P&L wise, yeah, we recovered the money that was invested into the product, and hopefully in the coming years it will grow to a bigger thing. Now it's in the hands of Shubham and the investors as well. I sort of took a different route, and because I considered myself to be a big storyteller, and I joined Santori Global Spirits to sort of tell great stories of products that have a legacy. But with Spice Route, at least 5 years down the line, we will build that legacy, and maybe 10 years down the line, like teams that you lead, people come back, and that will happen.
You know, it's very important to note one thing. The grass is always greener on the other side. I know barbacks who are like, listen, I want to be a junior bartender. You become a junior bartender. You're like, I want to be a senior bartender. You become a senior bartender. You say, I want to be the bar manager. Sure, no problem. You've become the bar manager. Then you're like, you know, I want the floor also. I want to be the GM. No problem. You've become the GM. Then you're like, this is good. This is good. I can own a place. Okay. Now you've opened your own place, you've become the entrepreneur. And then what hits you is a truck. And then the first thing that you're thinking, how do I take a step back? How do I get back into service? And you know, it is funny, I have those thoughts every day. What can I do to get out of this life I'm living, and you know, just take up a nice, good, solid job and sleep at night.
You sort of want to get back to what was familiar and really worked for you.
And what your passion was.
Yeah, and us as bartenders, bartending was primarily our passion. I started working in Park Hotels in Calcutta, and recently enough I went back there to do a training for Toki. and getting back there, looking at what is happening there, really instigate a sense of nostalgia as to, yes, this was something I did and I was great at. And in those terms, yes, newer avenues, like you rightly said, the grass is greener on the other side. Sometimes it is. But yeah, that sense of nostalgia and that familiarity that you had with the one aspect of your life, sometimes you want to go back to it, and sometimes the greener pastures provide.
Awesome. You know, I hadn't planned for Inder not being here, so you know, there was. I had some great questions for him, unfortunately. But if you guys don't mind, we can do a rapid fire round on something simple. Your favorite drink, maybe? Shantanu, your favorite drink?
I love whiskey. I love whiskey.
Favorite cocktail? Let's say cocktail.
I like old fashioned. Old fashioned. Yeah.
Mrs. Sangwan?
I love Islay malts, the one which are little on smoky side. So those are my favorite ones.
And in any cocktail, how would you have it?
I really don't like cocktails, to be honest. I'm a straight
purist.
Yes, straight drinks with just bit of ice. Yeah, that's what I enjoy.
Awesome. Nitin?
I was about to, when you said drink, I was happy to answer that. I was a Virgin Cuba Libre. A lot of people know that, and I love ordering that. But yeah, from a cocktails perspective, like, I don't have specifics that I like, but I love like tall, fizzy, like fruity cocktails. That's what the territory I am in. But as a bartender, I love all to fix it for people. For personally drinking, I'll prefer something tall and fizzy.
Interesting. Dushyant?
Currently, I'm on a Lafroig penicillin high. But the cocktail I really love to make is the espresso martini. The love for coffee is never ending, and plus it's a very trending drink in now today's time and date as well.
I've got a great mix-up on this espresso martini. Use Pistola Reposado, use caffeine, and make yourself and make yourself a great espresso martini. You know, I really want to ask this question, Nitin. I'm going to give you Inder's question. Where do you see the next breakout opportunity in spirits? Is it maybe crystal clear whiskeys jumping on the Cristalino trend that, you know, Chivas is just done? I think Monkey had also done something similar. I don't know if they charcoal filtered it or if it was just new make spirit. I'm not sure. Or do you think low, no sober spirits, like, you know, or do you think indigenous spirits like Mahua? Do you think Feni, or maybe something like Agave Pura that mimics a Western spirit but made with Indian ingredients? I know there's limoncellos made out of Gondaraj and stuff like that. Or maybe we're getting it all wrong, a vodka with gold inside. What do you think?
See, from my perspective, a lot of things are dependent on a lot of other factors around in the city, in the country or in the world itself. Like India saw the gin wave, the tequila wave is currently agave wave, I'll say that. So people are going behind it. From a drink perspective, what goes forward is what things which are easy for people to access. Like, you know, I'm a huge promoter of Indian beverages, let's say Feni or Mahua and everything. But as we were talking before, unfortunately, the ecosystem doesn't support these things right now. If these people, like Feni's was available across India at a very right price point, it would have been definitely the big thing. Like whenever I travel to a new country, they love to showcase their product and I buy a bottle and come it back. But even if someone comes to me in Gurgaon, I can't show them a bottle of Feni until I have got something from Goa. So there is a big recession there, but I see that is the biggest opportunity for India as a country. If we are able to change few things here and there and showcase that, I think India has great potential in doing indigenous alcohol, because it whatever we discussed, like you asked Dushyant about the storytelling of each brand, you know, we have that all available with us. Unfortunately, we're just not able to say because we don't have the products with us. In regards to whiskeys and things coming, India is still a country where people see the color of whiskey and say whether it's good or bad. Unfortunately, that's the world. So I think a huge opportunity lies in education, where people teach other people about what drinks are. Like my reason of starting social media was purely that at least people should know what's the difference between a rum and a whiskey and a gin, because for most of the people in this country, it's all same. That's the issue.
No, and something you said really resonated with me, that we need to be proud of the liquor that we're producing. Maybe every duty-free should have a section where the duty-frees are told by the government that do not charge them $10,000 per SKU. All spirits made in India should enter this little area free of cost. And alas, Adani owns duty-free, so let's not speak more about that. Okay, guys, thank you. I think we've had a fascinating session. A good hour has gone by. What we heard today is that India's bar culture isn't just catching up, it's carving its own identity. I think, Shantanu paving the way, showcasing what India had to offer at world class, even looking at the top 50 list today, you've got Lux speakeasies in 5-star hotels, making it so high up on Asia's list. At the same time, India is so diverse. We've got dive bars in Seolim, run by a great set of individuals that are also on the same list. So we are a diverse lot. That being said, advocacy programs, to bartender academies, the ecosystem today is rich, it's confident, it's collaborative, more than ever before, in my opinion. And I think the future behind the bar belongs to those who combine skill with story, technique, and passion, all mixed with the right purpose. And that's so invigorating about where we are today. A big thank you to our panelists, Amit, Sangwan, Nitin, Shantanu, Dushyant. We missed Inder. And thank you all to all of us to join us in this conversation today. Here's to a spirited future for India's bars and the brilliant minds behind them. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you so much, Rakshay, for
Also,
moderating
thanks to
that.
Rakshay for hosting all of us so well. Thank you so much.
Yeah, actually, thanks a lot, Rakshay, for leading this session to a great completion. And also thanks to the Spiritz magazine for putting this all together.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rakshay, for moderating it. Thank you so much. Thank you. I please request Vishen sir and Shalini ma'am, please, if you could join us on the stage and present a token to all of our panelists along with our moderator. Thank you. Please. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Rakshi, for moderating it. Thank you, everybody else. Lovely. With that, we come to an end of our panel discussions for today. It is 6 o'clock. 7 o'clock sharp, we'll meet here for the awards ceremony. We'll celebrate the Achievers Awards, followed by, of course, dinner and drinks. Please note and let your friends know that the bars are open, but once we start with the awards ceremony, we will shut the bars. You can order your drinks on your table or at your seats. After that, the night's for us to enjoy. 7 o'clock sharp, we meet for the awards ceremony. And enjoy yourselves. Thank you.